Good afternoon. I'd like to call the 1 o'clock May 16th school board meeting to order. At this time, I would like everybody to please rise for a moment of silence and our pledge and our national anthem. Moment of silence. Thank you. Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Naiad, is Ms. Hunt connected? Yes? Yes. Okay, thank you. All right, we'll go with roll call then. Mr. Furry?
Will Furry present.
Christy Chong present.
Colleen Conklin present.
Cheryl Macero?
Kathy Middlestat.
Sally Hunt on the phone.
Perfect. Okay, perfect. All right. Just a reminder that today is an information workshop and no votes are taken. The votes we will take would be later this evening in a 6 o'clock meeting, but just to gain more information about things so everybody knows where we stand. And a reminder to school board members, during our presentations today, please refrain from asking questions until after the presenters are done. Got that? Okay. All right. Then let's begin. We have any special announcements?
No, ma'am.
All right, going to the board member liaison updates. We can start down the table. Go ahead.
None for me today.
None? Okay.
A couple.
Okay, good.
So happy Nurses Week to all our school nurses. Actually, that was last week, but I wanted to say happy Nurses Week. I was able to attend the Buddy Taylor SAC meeting that was on April 20th. Discussion about more parent engagement, giving teachers time to contact families and flexible meeting schedules. Some budget highlights, they're going to be having literacy night, more tutoring opportunities, more student supplies, and a stipend for hiring more support staff. They were able to add some more library books and fit that into their budget, so that's great. And on May 22nd, they will have their house battle royale. And on May 24th is the 8th grade promotion for Buddy Taylor. And that's it for today.
Okay. Ms. Hunt, do you have any liaison reports?
Just to say that the end of the year Carver Center Board meeting is Wednesday, so I will have full details on that at the June meeting.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Concha.
Just a reminder, FPC's got a number of end-of-year events going on right now. I know everybody's geared up and getting ready for graduation. And also just to remind folks about the student device collection that's taking place across the district, May 16th to the 25th. And of course then graduation for all of us. I know Superintendent Middlestat's going to share some information about the legislative updates in regards to the changes in the graduation requirements that we were tracking very closely. I think it's good news for our schools and for our students and will be very helpful. In regards to the legislative update, obviously session has come and gone. And it was a very long session, even though it felt like it was quick, but there was a lot that took place. We were reaching out to Bob, Sarah, and John. They'll be coming to do a debrief with staff in June because there are so many changes that will impact what we do, and then they will come and give us a full debrief the last meeting in June, right? The workshop in June, so that you're all aware. And that's it, Madam Chair.
Okay. Couple, I always have a couple.
Oh, and a reminder, the African, I'm sorry, Cheryl.
Go ahead.
The African American Mentor Program is having their, they had a great meeting looking for more mentors. Anybody who's interested in mentoring within that program, you can reach out to me, you can reach out to John Winston or Carl, anybody really within the program. I know that they are currently recruiting new mentors to work with our students. They have their annual picnic this Saturday, I believe, at the Holland Park at 3 o'clock. So if any of you are available and you want to stop by, I know that they would love to see all of you if you are in town.
Okay. All right, Matanzas High School SAC, we had our last SAC meeting, and the very first thing we talked about that I was able to catch up on was our FAST testing, their report. The FAST test was the last time that our students took these tests. That's the third time they took them, actually. And what it's based on is to show if there's growth, and that's the good thing, because the records at this particular time are very positive. They're not completely worked out, but the scores are looking really good. So it's good to see that our kids are back to the learning as they should be, and that's a good note. Also, our seniors and the graduates, they're preparing a lot of activities just like FPC, and if you're interested in anything that's happening up there, you know, they're going to do the walk through their elementary schools and different things like that, which is a lot of fun for our seniors, and it's good to get back to some normalcy since it's been so fluent in what we could and couldn't do. All right, and finally, over the summer, the SAC and the administration has put together a survey that they really want to find out what people are thinking and parents are thinking. So they'll be getting that over the summer, and I hope that people take time to fill it out, because surveys are really valuable when you get responses. So I'm hoping we get enough responses to make us even better at Matanzas for next year. Wadsworth Elementary SAC. Again, they were very high on their FAST testing, so that's a good thing. And they were glad to see, and I was too glad to see, that communication with the parents has improved. That was a problem before. It seems to be getting better, so that is a definite plus. And they actually are getting ready to celebrate the end of the school year with a school dance. And as I said to my colleagues, I'm not sure, it's a K-5 school dance. That must be interesting. I haven't been to one of those for a very long time. But that, as well as a school picnic. So Wadsworth is getting ready to fold down their school year. Flagler Tobacco Prevention Partnership. FPC SWAT members actually assisted at our Teen Town Summit, which was held in this building a couple weeks ago. And Ms. Doyle from Matanzas High School has agreed now to be the advisor for a new club at Matanzas High School, so that is a great thing. We're expanding. PAL just started a new youth floor hockey program at Carver, and they're involved with summer activities in the mobile program. The Tobacco Partnership is associated with them. And so far this year, there have been 257 tobacco citations. That's kids primarily being caught vaping as opposed to smoking tobacco. Vaping is an epidemic that is very real in our society, especially in that age group. You know, the high school and the middle school too. there, and we're finding them in some elementaries. So hopefully we continue to push the relevance of fighting vaping. Next school year, a major emphasis will be to limit allowing vape shops in various zoning areas. The whole group's going to work on trying not to have vape shops so close to high schools, like the one that's right across the street from FPC. That has always been an issue since it opened, and they're trying to do that through zoning. So we're anxious to see how that all works out. And the last meeting that I attended was with the Flagler Auditorium Governance Board. Couple things there. The legislation passed that if you are in the drop, and the drop is for people who are going to retire, and they would have 5 years to be in the drop, and then they have to retire, and they have less taxes taken out basically from their fund. They have now extended that by 3 more years. So the person that was, Ms. Fulmer, who was running the program at the auditorium, was in the drop, and she was going to have to retire. Now she has 3 more years, and everybody's very happy on the governance board because she does a wonderful job running that program. The other big news is that they're changing the name. They're entering a remarketing, and they're changing it up in their whole design, and they're changing their logo. It's now going to be called the Fitzgerald Performing Arts Center. And I will pass this down for the rest of you to see. And for short, it's the Fitz. They're trying to attract more younger participants too in a lot of the shows that they have. So it will now be the Fitzgerald Performing Arts Center. You can see a lot of new branding things coming out with that on there. So that is good. And there's a local marketing group that they partner with, and that they're going to make that a reality. And then finally with that, the show tickets have finally, they're catching on, they're doing well, they're getting back to their normal operation, and they're making money. And that's what that governance board is most interested in, that they are positive. Okay. So that is my report. All right, going into public comments. Just a reminder for those of you that are here to make public comments, we're not being ignorant by not responding to you. We do not respond. That is part of the rules and the regulations that we have here as a board. However, often after the meeting, if there's something that somebody wants to follow through for, or we have a team member that can help you out with information, they will work to find you and give you the information that you may need. All right? Who do we have?
First speaker is Robert Boros on Belterra.
Okay. Yeah, come on up here, Mr. Boros. You can just sit right down in the chair.
Well, I got the
We're
same
glad to
thing.
have you.
I don't think so. But anyway,
It's okay.
my wife wrote it because I don't put words together. I was here last time, and I got to say, we are dismayed to learn that Flagler schools are considering removing support for the Belterra Swim Club. This facility provides a much-needed outlet for Flagler citizens. With the pool, sauna, gym, workout equipment, and space, it provides a vital service to the community. In addition, the school's swimming and synchronized swim teams periodically have worked out in the facility pool. In addition, there is no private membership gyms that have swimming pool and offer swimming in the area. While Palm Coast Community Center has a swimming area and more difficult to get to and has more limited parking. That's it.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, thank
Okay,
you.
who is next?
Armel Cray against the pool closure.
Can I ask you to move your chair one way or the other so people can get through?
Thank you, I appreciate that.
And you're very welcome.
Walking with me.
I got you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm
Welcome.
sure everybody around Palm Coast have seen me walking at some point.
Yes, I've seen you many times like that.
Yes,
My neighbor.
and I'm speaking for a lot of people about the pool closure. It's the only one we have in our neighborhood. It is easily accessible, and to keep this open, I've been told by a lot of people, oh, you since you've been here, you look like you're doing a whole lot better. You're walking a lot easier. I think it's just being down here in Florida and being on less medications. But I attributed that through working out at the Belterra Racket pool facility. It's not just the pool, but it's the whole facility. So I actually use the sauna. I don't use the tennis court, but that whole perimeter, the gym facility, has helped me tremendously. And I've noticed going in there, there's a whole lot of positive feedback that I get from a lot of the senior citizens that come there, and we feed off of our energy. And we've discussed it, you know, the lack of the soap in the dispensers. The toilets are, you know, a lot of them, every time we go in there, something has got an out of order sign. Paper towels, toilet tissue, things of that nature. And to have that many people come there and not have the necessities, and I don't know if it's funded, because I've heard from many different people, they had signed up 4,100 people. From what I understand and how my insurance works, I can attend that and it's not out of pocket, but I know it comes from somewhere. So I know it's out of my Medicare or some kind of insurance that I have that pays for that. So even the people who just are coming on to Medicare or coming on to some kind of relief or benefits or something from the government, they have that option to go there or not. And from what I understand, even if they don't attend, the facility is still collecting monies. And I don't know, it would be sad, it would be very disheartening to have that closed unless another one is going to be put up. And from what I understand, it's not good to get rid of something and then have something in the works. It's good to have it and then, you know, something being worked while that facility stays open. I heard YMCA, I've heard so many rumors, I don't know what's happening, but to have that closed down, and I was attending another one that during the season, hurricane season, and this is another thing. There was another facility, it was Fitness One, and they closed, but it was an enclosed pool. So you had the option, even if it was raining, they wouldn't close you out, you could still go and work out and still get the benefits of being healthy. And that helped me through, because my knee is like a barometer. When it rains, I don't know, most people, they feel it in the bones, it's deep, and you can't get rid of it only if you work out or you get in the water. And that has helped me tremendously. So like I said, I don't know all that's going to be happening around Palm Coast if another pool is going to be opening, but I say to close this one in that location would be detrimental to a lot of people's health.
You have to end your statement at this
Okay.
point. But thank you.
Thank you
very much.
for hearing me out. Appreciate it.
Yep. Okay.
If everyone would please go ahead and make sure your phones are silenced so that we don't have any interruptions. That would be great. The next speaker is Judith Baczak on the Belterra Swim and Racquet Club.
Hello, everybody. It's me again. Okay, I'm going to bring up a couple of things. One thing I thought of last time when Mr. Furry was speaking about that expenses, apples to apples, and all that. The city of Palm Coast, thanks to the 501c that we formed about 8 years ago, donates, I guess it's a stipend or whatever it is, of $25,000 a year. I think that's being counted in no matter whether you close or not, but if we close, I don't think you can count on that $25,000 a year. So I wanted to bring that up because I don't know if you have thought of that. So that would change the 80,000 loss to 105 loss, which in your mind could make a difference, so I'm bringing that up. Ms. Gavin, I hope that you have the letter of intent for us to hear, because we've been asking for that. And from ITT, for those who don't know, that's when they gave the property to the school. We would like to know exactly what their intent was, and it should be in that letter. The bonds, that you did bring them out at the last meeting and put them out. I'm not sure if I understood everything. I mean, I know you tried to give a summation that there's the government service building and the schools and other things are within those bonds. I don't think my brain quite understood it all. It's probably a lot of legalese in there, but I don't understand their bonds, but do we have to pay interest on those bonds? Is that being figured into the factors? maybe when you speak later, that could be brought up. And I think we brought up at some point at one of the meetings the insurance factor, that we'll probably have to stay open for a while because there's contracts with insurance companies. But I was talking to a few people, and most of these insurance companies do pay, let's say on average, $3 a visit times about 10 visits of the month. So I'm not sure if everybody understands that if you can get the people to go 10 times a month, that's $30 a month at least that they are collecting. So all those things are very important factors in figuring out keeping this open. If we could advertise, social media, as you said, better hours and get it out there, people will come. You know, what's that movie, you know, build it and they will come. If we have it and we run it better, I think we could run at least at break even and possibly better. And please, please, please take that into consideration. And all the people here, I think, are all from the Belterre Swimming Racket Club. I'm hoping they'll all be here at 6 o'clock tonight when we have the actual school board meeting. Thank you. I think my time is up, but thank you for listening to that. I appreciate it.
Next.
Laura Heifner, closing of Palm Coast Swim and Racket.
Welcome.
Thank you. The Belterre Swim and Racket Club, I tell everyone, is like the fountain of youth for all of us. It's a place for us to exercise, swim, sauna, and not only get ourselves into better health and shape, but socialization. I moved here with my husband over a year ago to this beautiful city, and I came here without family or friends. I knew no one, and all of these people have become my friends and an extended family to me. I'm just hoping and praying that you will keep this open for all of us, because none of us know what we will do or where we will go. There are other pools, but you're the only sauna in Palm Coast. There are other gyms, but we would have to join a gym, then we'd have to join a pool, then we would have to join a sauna. 3 different memberships. We're here, we have everything in one. And we love it. It's like our second home. So I'm just hoping that you will take all of this into consideration for all of us.
Thank you.
Wilfredo Liras
Oh, here we go.
on the pool.
Got the whole family here, thank God, okay? God bless, okay? Colleen.
I like that name. I don't like that name. We'll talk about that name one day. No.
I'm sorry I talk loud, people, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Hear you in the back, it's good.
All right, at least you'll hear me, right? Okay. Hey, 16 years old, U.S. Navy, thank God bless America. Some people did answer the ad, thank you very much, you know who you are, God bless you. You're doing the right thing, okay? Thank you. All right, I gotta shut up, quick. Wilfredo Lleras, living in Palm Coast, 24 years. Thank you for allowing me to express my personal point of view. Again, if you failed to plan, you plan to fail. First, I want to thank several people on the board for their real personal concern in keeping the Belterre pool open for seniors and the general population. God bless you. Thank you. I'm not done yet. I would like to mention, is there any type of censorship placed on the school board website? It's almost impossible to get there, okay? I'm computer literate, but that's not a story, okay? Not illiterate, literate. All citizens should be able to access the school board meeting website by simply the address, the date, simple. The hook there is video. People don't know about it. That's what's gonna bring it in. But if, okay. What you see is please stand by. I'm not the only one, please, trust me. I know there's a censorship, been around the block twice. Has the school board ever evaluated the physical and medical advantage of simply swimming and working in a gym? I'm an old geezer, I'm 84 years old. I dropped down, I gave you 60. Yesterday, I did 50 laps. What an old man, it's your fault. It's your fault that I'm doing 60 laps. I don't have a cane, I don't have a walker, I ain't got nothing. Damn, okay? Now, let's go baby steps. 1 second, please. When a developer comes in and makes the plans, we can go meet at the building department. He's got 30 homes. What's the first thing he builds? A pool. Why not take the land and build more houses? No, he builds a pool. Why? Because a pool brings the family together, the little babies together, and they can swim and enjoy life the way they should. People like Cape Tappan Coast have done big time heavy lifting. Market, market, market. Advertise on site. The radio station right on the pool. Flyers. Here's a good one. The people should mail out, not you, the people, mail out a free 1-week coupon for the pool. 1 week. Is that going to draw people? What do you think? I don't know. I wish I could read and write. Continue to accept silver sneakers. I'm sorry I talk loud. That is your monetary baseline. Study your demographics in terms of time at home and as pool time. Now here's what I mean by that. With the above mentioned, extend your hours from 8 o'clock in the morning to 8 o'clock at night. I don't know who swims at 6 in the morning. I'm sleeping. I'm playing with the angels, okay? Permit the parents to partake with their children. That is priceless. You're with the kids. That is priceless.
All right, you gotta
How
wrap it
about,
up.
I'm not done. How about a mini
Wrap it
kitchen, hamburgers, Franks? 1 second, please. Excuse me, all due respect, all due respect. Activities, swimming pool hours, music. I'm getting nervous now. Columbus Day, etc. Purchase a special solar blanket
Okay,
to cover
I'm
the
sorry,
pool.
I'm sorry. You're
All
gonna
right,
wrap it
I'm
up.
sorry. I
Thank you.
apologize. I have a
got
lot
you.
to say. And let's have this on the website, okay? Thank you very much, and thank you for some people who are really concerned about what they're doing. God bless you, and you know I'm telling the truth. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Who's next?
Jack Slavutsky on the pool closing.
Hello again.
Hi, Jack.
I'm Jack Slavutsky. I will not repeat myself. First of all, please do not close our pool for seniors. Not at all. If you cannot meet financial goals, please increase your fees. Like increase on food, on eggs, and anything else we're paying. Gas, do it. And stop that apple and oranges. You need to increase, do it, we'll pay for that. Okay, we have 160 already paying customers, full price. We got more than 1,000 people who under using insurance. Okay, one of them paid $3, second pays $4. So I'm suggesting if you can make it, modify your software to count how many times you swap my card, and we'll pay difference. If that's too much for you, just set fixed price for us, for silver sneakers, extra money, we'll pay for that. We do not want to close the pool at all. Okay? Please do not vote to close pool. That's not right. And you have to remember, I'm your age, your parents might be younger than me. Because of the pool and exercise and nice facilities, nice people here, we're still around. Please keep us around. If you vote to close the facilities, I personally, my opinion, I'm sorry I vote for you, especially for you, sir. I did vote for you.
Do you have to keep your comments to me or the
Oh,
entire?
I'm sorry, I'm
You
sorry.
can't point out
Yeah.
anybody. Thank you.
Please stop this unpopular action. Save our well-being and longevity. It's going on already for 5-6 years. Every year goes back the same. Keep our facilities open 7 days a week. Work out your financial problem. Extend your hours of operation, please. Advertise. Bring back classes. We will thank you for that, and we will support you from bottom of our heart. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
On a different subject, Mike Cochiola, Book Review Committee.
Welcome. Hello.
Good afternoon, Madam Chairman,
Yep.
Vice Chair, and members. Okay, I'll try to speak loud too so the back can hear me. The subject I got is, of course, the issue of banning books. The board here at one point, I think a couple of meetings ago, said you were going to hold a workshop on the process, and I'm wondering if that has been planned. And that's the first subject is, has it been planned, when, and what will the process be? The second thing is that I've read, of course, in the Flagler Live, an article about books being, well, I use the term vanished. They're apparently not banned, but there's another term for it. And there's a couple books there, and in neither case has the committees met to review the book, even though they were assigned it to read, and they probably did read it. But those meetings with the committees were canceled, and the books were arbitrarily removed from the school system. So that's banned. I don't care what name they use for it, but that is banned. Now, it seems that if we're not going to use these committees, then why bother? It also means that there are 3 people who are proposing all these books for banning. They are now running the school's literature process, right? They're the ones who are choosing books either to read or not to read. Not the committees, not the superintendent, not the principals, not the school teachers. It is these 3 members of Moms for Liberty who are out there to censor public education. And what is the board going to do about that? We can't let 3 people decide what students that belong to a lot of different parents, none of whom know who those 3 people are or are associated with them, and we're letting them make the decisions on books. What process are we going to approve, review, or whatever we do to make sure that a range of parents are able to vote? A range of parents get their right to choose what those students read. And remember, for those like me who do not have students in this school system, but I'm a taxpayer and I pay for the school system, in part. I have a vote. I'm a citizen, I have a vote. So I want to vote in that process. All citizens here in Flagler, if you pay taxes, ought to have a vote. So I'm asking the board to somehow clarify what went on, why were those books pulled, banned, for no discernible reason? Why was there no process employed? When are we going to go review the process and approve the process and stick to it? And when are we going to fix the problem of 3, and I call them extremists, Moms for Liberty people? They are zealots, and they are determining right now how many thousands of kids here we have here, 12,000, something like that, are reading. 3 people who only mission in life is to censor public schools. Thank you.
Thank you.
Joe Maneo on Palm Coast Pool.
Okay, there's a lot of passionate people about this pool today. It's very, very important. I use it, and I'm in Silver Sneakers, and if I wasn't using the pool, I was at the Palm Coast, Fitness One, and they closed down. Did a lot of laps, a lot of turns, because it's half the size, but the pool is so important to so many people. You got the Masters in the morning, who I swim with. Try to keep up with them, but it's a little tough. And then we have the Silver Sneakers, which there's quite a few there in the morning, and they're swimming. And that's all about health. You know, my A1C is down because I'm exercising. And the doctor said, get out and exercise more. So I jumped in the pool. And I've been doing this for a year and a half. I've seen a big difference. No medicine. I cut it all out. Elta medicine, then no pills, no nothing. Just eating better foods, exercising a lot. And that's what it's all about, keeping your health up. Because later in life, if you don't do it earlier, well, I'm going to be 7 this year, but I wish I started a little bit earlier, but it helps in the long run, and it's cost effective, for the town. I guess, they're able to do more things, and, of course, spend more money, go different places. So it's very important we keep this open, because we have no other place to go. We're going to drive to Ormond, what's it called? YMCA. It's too far for us, And the other thing is, I'm with the radio station in 97.3 in Flagler Beach. If you get a monologue together, I will do a PSA, no charge. But we'll get that on the radio for you. You need to promote this a little more, like some people have said. Maybe bring pickleball in, chop the tennis courts in half, and make pickleball courts out of them. They get something a little bit more variety. The gym is a great gym, and there's not many people use it. A lot of people don't even know this facility exists and what's available here. Not to be long-winded, I hope you vote to keep the pool going. There's so many people that are behind you to do that, and I will say I'll help any way I can.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That is the last of public comment.
Okay. All right, end of public comment. We will not be discussing Belterre Swim and Racket Club the rest of this meeting at this particular time. If you wish to stay, you're more than welcome to. If you'd like to leave, this would be the time for you to leave. And be back, we are discussing it at the 6 o'clock meeting. 6 o'clock meeting, it will be discussed. It'll be voted on, yeah.
School board, they have 465 signature petition against it. Please keep in mind.
All right, Jack, we got it. Thank you.
I'm very positive here, very positive. It's gonna be okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're gonna discuss it this afternoon, tonight, but not now. Yeah, we can work out something. I think we can. We'll get there. It's important to the seniors. They voted the half penny. In my mind. Because they're the ones who carried our half penny. Okay. Now we got plenty of seats, we are good. Hello. All right, we're going on to item number 5, which is the Flag 501, which is Flagler County Education Foundation, the Memorandum of Agreement revisions. We're there.
Chairman Saro, board members, we are here because we had brought to you the MOU between the school board and the Ed Foundation. And when it was reviewed by Ms. Rizzo and her board, they found that it really was not capturing what has been the past practice between the district and the Ed Foundation. And it's more specifically the only change actually to the document, but we wanted to capture it correctly, is if you go to page 4, and you will find paragraph 9 of Article 4. It's with respect to the payment of salary and benefits. And it is capturing that we pay, or that the Ed Foundation reimburses the district 100% of the Ed Foundation's salaries, with the exception of Ms. Rizzo's salary, where they reimburse it at 88%, and then we fund the other 22%, 12%. 12%. So we wanted to capture it and more accurately reflect what has been the past practice of the district between the district and the Education Foundation. So that is the change. It has been reviewed by Ms. Rizzo with her board, and they passed this MOU already before presenting it to you all. So we are back before you with this document to commemorate what are the true practices between the district and the Education Foundation.
And those are the only changes.
Changes, right. Is there any questions? You all clear? Okay, we're good.
All good.
Thank you. All right, going to 5.02, approval updated FCEA instructional salary schedule. Ms. Moore, Ms. Wormack, Ms. Diaz. Ms. Wormack is not here, so it's just Ms. LaShaka.
Hello. Good afternoon. In February, we came before you and asked for you to approve not only our salary proposal, but our FCA contract. Once our salary proposal was submitted to the Department of Education, they did review it and identify an area where we need to go back and recalculate the base salary for that starting salary. With what we needed to do to recalculate that, it really caused us to kind of unwind some of the compression that we wanted to address. We have done that at the direction of the department, and we have this new salary schedule before you that we have presented in bargaining to the union, and the union is going forward with ratification. We will be bringing this back to you again tonight and ask that you approve this new salary schedule. It costs the district under $40,000 to make this adjustment, but right now we are, until we do that, there's about $1.1 million in funding that we don't have access to until we get this correction made.
Okay. Questions?
No question. I actually met with Ms. Bormack during the week, and she explained this to me, so I have a good understanding of what's happening here. So.
Thank you.
So Patty, I had a good conversation with Patty about it. And the only question that I have, because I'm still trying to wrap my brain around it, was the same in executive session that I struggled with. So if we have a teacher, let's just say, a teacher that comes in, it came in last year on step 1, which would really be step 9, right? So in year 2, are they on step 10?
So this is a place, yes. This is a placement. So they will receive their increases as approved through our bargaining, but their placement does not move. Their salary moves, but their placement is just where their beginning placement is.
So a first year teacher comes in, they're really going to be step 1 for, am I understanding correctly, 9 years?
No, so year 1 in the district, you are placed on step 9.
Right.
After that, you are an annual contract teacher that sees an increase based on your performance, either highly effective or effective.
Right.
If you're effective, you get 1078. Highly effective gets 1038. So you then are no longer
1438.
on 1438. Then you are no longer on this salary matrix. It's an add-on to the salary.
Gotcha.
Okay,
Yes.
so this is just where they're starting.
As a placement.
It's a starting
This
point.
is a
Absolutely.
start.
That's where we start.
If this salary matrix is in effect for your grandfathered or PSC teachers.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Have to do what we have to do. Simple as that.
So this will take care of then the glitch we've got basically with DOE, and then that will release the additional dollars.
Yes.
Okay.
And this is for the 2022-23, and then any additional bargaining would happen for 23-24.
Okay, so clean it up for
Makes
next.
sense.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank
All right,
you.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to 5.03, Alyssa's Law update. Mr. D.C. and Mr. Houlihan, or there they come.
Good afternoon, Chair. Good afternoon, school board members, Superintendent Milstead, public. I'm here today to provide an update on Alyssa's Law, and this isn't an update from the state or DOE or any legislative changes. It's actually an update of some operation changes that we're looking forward to. So to provide some background on Alyssa's Law, it was signed in 2020 through Senate Bill 70 by Governor DeSantis that would provide ensure a backup on communication that any personnel on a school campus can activate a lockdown in the event of a lockdown or an active shooter situation. On June 15, 2021, district staff as well as Flagler County Sheriff's Office personnel and the 911 coordinator at the time presented to the board a vendor that they felt appropriate that would ensure that we would meet the compliance of the law at the time. So as a result, including Imagine, we were outfitted with a mobile panic alert system by the start of the school year of 2021. So when I entered my position in 2021, I was working with the vendor that was selected back in June. So at that time, Motorola Safer Watch was determined by the Flagler County 911 coordinator that it would fulfill the need of Flagler schools and meet the statutory requirements of Alyssa's Law. Over the past 2 years, the district staff has worked with our school-based team as well as current Flagler County Sheriff's Office personnel and the current Flagler County 911 coordinator to determine if the vendor is actually meeting our school needs. So currently, Safer Watch is a mobile app that relies on a faculty or staff member to download and install on their personal device. It also relies on cellular or Wi-Fi network. District staff actually did work with Motorola to install a computer-based version, a web version that can be downloaded on a personal device or a district-owned device that would still rely on a Wi-Fi capability. There is a limited adoption rate with this vendor. And even though that we went ahead and did a web version, there's still a limited adoption rate. So that being said, myself, Mr. Deasing, members of the Flagler County Sheriff's Office and the 911 coordinator were looking at some other options. I know school board members went out from FSBA. There was all the vendors from Alyssa's Law that were there. One of those vendors is actually Centegix. We did meet with the representative from Centegix, and because of the limitation that the current vendor does provide, we think Centegix will fulfill the needs of Flagler County schools. There's 5 things that we really look forward to that Centegix can fulfill those needs. The first one is it actually empowers all school personnel. So each member of faculty and staff, including substitutes that work for our campus, will be receiving a badge. This is a wearable device, and it empowers all faculty and staff to activate 2 types of alerts, and we'll get into that in a minute. So the first alert is a lockdown, a notification that will notify our SRD, our 911 coordinator, and all emergency personnel that there is an active lockdown situation going on at the campus. The second situation is actually a campus-wide alert. It's a staff alert. It actually only notifies the administrators on the campus. These can be used for medical emergencies or a discipline event such as a fight in the classroom where the teacher can't actually go to the phone or call to administration. So they hit the button 3 times. It vibrates and notifies the administrators, and they can report to the classroom. So unlike traditional safety systems that rely on Wi-Fi or cellular systems, Centegix provides total campus coverage without such dependencies. This means regardless of the connectivity situation on that campus, the system will function reliably, ensuring uninterrupted communication and emergency response capabilities. So no area on that entire campus will be left uncovered. Centegix offers a combination of audio and visual notifications. So once a campus-wide alert lockdown situation is sent out by staff members on the campus, Centegix actually takes over the computers, all the display screens, including computers on the campus. They also provide visual cues in each classroom, hallways, outside areas that the staff or the campus is actually under a lockdown. So when every second counts, Centegix is providing precise location determination. So when we set this off, it has a location determination within 20 feet. They provide district login as well as administrators. So when this is notified, the district safety specialist will receive notification as well. So we can log in, we can tap in. Our sheriff's office can tap in through the real-time communication center. It's very effective, and we're looking forward to it. So one last thing is Centegix stands apart from other solutions. It doesn't rely on an app base, even though they do have an app base that is additional. They do partner with the I Love You Guys Foundation, which is part of something that we're going to be moving towards in the future with the standard response protocol, standard reunification protocol. They do partner with that foundation as well. But they do have an app base, but it is not dependent on the app base. So, once again, there are 2 different types of alerts. There's a staff alert, which is a 3-click. So if I click it 3 times, it vibrates. It lets the staff member know that, yes, we received your notification. We send it out to the appropriate personnel for the staff alert. But if it's an active situation for a lockdown, there's an armed person coming onto your campus, or there's gunshots on campus, you just keep clicking in as multiple times, and that's going to activate the lockdown situation where the screens get taken over. Our PA system will make a visual or audio cue saying we're in lockdown, lock the doors, hide, log out, out of sight, all that stuff. So we're really excited about this vendor and what it could provide to enhance the safety of Flagler schools. Ryan, I believe, can address.
So I, excuse me, just wanted to touch base real quick. So this is a great opportunity to showcase the things that Flagler schools can do because of our half-cent sales tax that was renewed in November. This was a discussion previously, and there was a couple of limitations with Centegix at the time, and one of them being the expense. So Having had the half-cent sales tax being renewed, we saw this as an excellent opportunity to revisit. In revisiting that and working with Flagler County as well as the Sheriff's Office and the 911 Center, we came to the realization that the upgrades that Centegix has previously done actually directly integrates them into their CAD system, the computer-aided dispatch system. So as it sits, there's no additional resources needed within the 911 center. All of that information is delivered directly through the enhanced 911 system. So it doesn't rely on phone calls, et cetera, in the background. It's done digitally and integrates directly with them. The neat part about this is it allows the system to give real location data within the schools. And I always like to kind of use FPC because you guys know that is just an absolutely huge facility. You can pick up a phone, potentially dial 911, and then have a big question about where is that actually at? Are you in the 900 building, the 700 building? Are you in the old gym, the new gym? Are you on the football field? Are you at the baseball fields? Are you on the soccer field? Are you at transportation? So this system, the way that it's deployed, actually gives real location data. It doesn't rely on GPS of a device. It doesn't rely on correlation of cell phone connectivity. Doesn't rely on Wi-Fi. It then allows us to be able to say, hey, we have an alert that has happened in the 700 building on the second floor within this area of 7208 and 7209. And be able to deliver that information directly to 911, which allows them to dispatch directly out of the system to any field folks, first responders that are in the field. They don't have to retype, they don't have to do a lot of those things that they're currently having to shuffle through. So I think, Tommy kind of touched on it, and one of the things that has always been a concern, and you can talk to any of our administration at any of our schools regarding this, the Alyssa's Alert solution as it stands, is the adoption. And Tommy touched on it a little bit, but that's really the focus that Centegix allows us to do. We can give those badges to every single employee. Our district folks can actually utilize them as well. It knows whether you're on FPC's campus or Indian Trails campus or Old Kings campus, and that even is if I'm a district person and I'm on that campus and I see something, that alert will work with that location data on that site. So I think it just gives us a huge advantage when we're talking about the seconds that it takes for our first responders to respond to those incidents. So I'm excited to have the opportunity. We'll be bringing this back in a purchase order because it is a state contract. That's how this will come back to you. Part of the Alyssa's Alert law, there's about $20,000 that is tied to Flagler County Schools directly, so that will be credited to the new vendor annually. And we're looking at roughly about $60,000, give or take, on a 5-year contract to implement that. Now keep in mind that also then $60,000 roughly would be offset from the state and credited, so it's around $40,000, and we feel that that would be a great opportunity to utilize and leverage that half-cent sales tax to make this a reality for our faculty, staff, and students.
Okay, questions? Colleen?
Just a quick question. I love this technology, but I'm curious how in the world it works. Meaning, right, if there's no GPS, if there's no Wi-Fi connect, if there's no,
So it's all based on, it's all based on our maps from our schools, and we are, Centegix uses what's called Bluetooth beaconing. It's a low energy Bluetooth. So there's actually sensors that are placed all the way through the entire building,
that makes sense.
including outdoor spaces to cover. So like an example, FPC will be able to cover those fields, we'll be able to cover parking lots. But that's the technology behind the scenes, and then that is all then communicated back to the head system that we use.
And it automatically Bluetooth connect, and that's how they know.
Correct. Essentially, that's a passive device, meaning it doesn't ping out unless you hit the button. 3 clicks gives out a particular ping. 8 clicks at that point gives out another ping. It includes that location data based off of the positioning of those sensors and the Bluetooth beacon that gets relayed through those sensors. That's how it's spatially aware. Multiple floors, etc. We'll be able to integrate all of our CAD plans from our facilities so that we'll actually have floor plans that are integrated with those, and that's where the tie-in to know within about 15 to 20 feet within space of where that device was clicked.
Do they ever check on these, like, just to make sure they continue to work?
Absolutely, yeah. They actually do it off-site. So if these usually last 3 to 5 years battery life, but for whatever reason, whether it's a Bluetooth beacon or a badging system that goes down, they notify you right away. We have the capability to notify whether the device is not working effectively.
So if the batteries are dying, there's some notification that says, hey, it's time to change the batteries. Okay. And then as far as the technology, Bluetooth, obviously that's a tried and true technology. What was the reason they chose Bluetooth over Wi-Fi and cellular? Is it a better, more reliable, or is it just the one they chose? And because if there's only one, where is redundancy if their system, say, goes down, like in the case of the other system said, if cellular is not available, then it goes on to Wi-Fi, you know what I mean?
So the connectivity piece on that, they have fail-safes that are built in and redundancy within the system. So there are pieces to ensure if a particular sensor fails, they're deployed in such a manner that there's additional sensors that cover that same area. So you still have the availability of the system to work. As far as what's actually doing the phone calls, there's fail-safes that are built into those as well. So there's a control unit that's at each one of the individual sites that has redundancy for power, battery backup, CPU, etc. So there's always something to control if there is a failure. Is it absolutely 100%? I would say no, but it's 5 nines is what we're looking for.
And have they implemented this in other schools?
Yeah, absolutely. So a third of Florida schools are covered under Centegix. Just in our surrounding counties, St. John's, Volusia, Lake, they all use Centegix.
And have you reached out to them to see their opinion?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. And including Imagine, speaking with one of their personnel, because obviously Imagine is statewide. There are some Imagine schools, such as in Lake, that actually use the Centegix. So they are a fan of it as well over there.
Thank you.
I actually sat in the workshop on Centegix at FSBA here, and I bought in 100% at that time because I realized it's so well organized. And when they went through the whole nuts and bolts technology, that's your piece, but I could see how it could be effective in Flagler County. So I'm very delighted that we're going to that route because I do think it's where we need to be. The only question I want to think about is substitutes. How are we going to handle substitute? Because I know, I believe a friend of mine actually substituted in Volusia County was one of the ones that loves the system because they get that as soon as they get engaged through their process.
We've had discussions with that. I don't know, Tommy, if you want, but we would look at having a pool just as you would get your room key. That would be on there, and then we would look to work with our schools and making sure that training is done for those substitutes, but also during onboarding over the summer as we roll into August when we do onboarding for substitutes, we'll be able to include this quickly as part of that onboarding process so they are aware of the technology and how to use it.
Good way to spend our half penny.
I have another question. The location data, you said it goes to 911. Will there be also a real-time notification to the the SRD on campus and to maybe if we do implement the
No,
Guardian?
absolutely. There'll be protocols that the sheriff's office will stand up. So when CTJs did come down, in that meeting was the 911 coordinator, our youth services division personnel. So they were talking about some protocols on because what if a fail-safe, I clicked it 3 times or 5 times or 7 times or whatever I may have done, right? So they're going to come up with some protocols, obviously coordinate, hey, we have been notified that there is a lockdown situation on your campus. You need to go, right? That's how they're going to deploy the SRD out to it. Whether it's SRD says, nope, it was a false hit, every single person, there's a different badging system. So we'll know who hit it, was it an accident, or is there an actual situation going on the campus? So there are going to be some protocols that the sheriff's office is going to stand up with SRD.
And is that like some sort of a response if you accidentally did it, that person says, clicks it 4 times to say they made a mistake?
If you're clicking it 8 times,
There's something going on.
That's why there's
Cavalry's
there's
coming.
3 and
It's just
8.
Right.
They didn't do 3 and 5 or 3 and 4. They did it 3 and they call it multiple clicks. Because if there's an active situation, I'm going to be hitting this as many possible
Clicking and clicking and clicking
and hoping that they're coming. Whether it's 3 clicks and there's a fight in the classroom, a medical emergency, someone's having,
Great, thank you.
Okay. All right, we good?
We're good.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Very good.
Yeah, Chair Massaro?
Oh, hold on. Go ahead, Sally.
Thank you. In addition to the great questions already that have already been asked, I'm wondering if we can get any details on any conversation that's happened around communication with parents or staff spouses. I don't know if this system, obviously I'm not looking for, people to be notified from every single click, but is there any conversation around, communication with parents, again, staff spouses, that can be integrated at all with this system or with the communication team? That's just a point of curiosity for me.
So, Ms. Hunt, if I'm understanding correctly, if a staff member were to either set off a staff alert or a campus-wide lockdown alert, what does that notification look like from our communication team? This is such a great system. The one thing we continue to hear from, parents is, I'm having to find out about incidences through a whether it's through the sheriff's office, Facebook page, or whatever. And, so whenever we have these conversations, I want to make sure we're always having the conversation around communication with our parents, with our staff spouses, with those people who are outside of the buildings who, also have a vested interest. I realize that the primary focus is the safety itself, of course. I just am wondering if this is such a robust program. I was just wondering if there's been any conversation around, are there any elements that can assist us with communication to others in the event that there is a more escalated incident? Okay. All right, Ms. Hunt, I'm taking some notes. Just to speak on that briefly, I commend Mr. Wheeler and Ms. Middlestat and the sheriff most recently putting out a video. Obviously, we did see a multi-state threat that was founded down in Broward County. That threat, we worked throughout the night with multiple districts throughout the state, trying to find out where it actually came from. First thing we did that Friday morning was put out a message. So our communication team and the sheriff's office PIO office, their personnel over there, they're working great together right now. We are listening to your concerns, to the board's concerns, to the public's concerns on how we can get better at communication. So we are listening, and I think we are doing better from what we past practice.
Okay, yeah, that is great news. Thank you. I would just be curious if this particular system has any bell or whistle that is tied to some kind of communication. Anyway, if that
Yep.
Just know that's something that would interest me to find out.
Absolutely, and I'll look into that more, and I will update you.
You're amazing. Thanks so much.
Okay, we good? All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. All right, going on to academic services, 6.01, 23-24 strings program contracts. Ms. Tristan, welcome.
Good afternoon, school board members, Superintendent Middlestat. That was a very intense presentation, so hopefully we can talk about who it is that you're protecting with all of that technology. So we certainly serve those students as well. Joe and I asked to be here because we're in a unique situation of having 3 new school board members this year, and we just want to share with you the way that the program is set up, how it's executed, who we're serving, and what you're getting for the investment in your program. This is a Flagler County Schools initiated strings program, and we're basically facilitating it. So I think the place to start is to talk about the history of the program, how it came to be, and the mission statement is a great place for us to start. The strings program mission has always been to be a free program, not paid for play, quality instruction, and what we mean by that when we refer to quality instruction specific to these instruments, which are string instruments that you would hear in an orchestra arrangement. We want to have actual string players teaching these instruments. There's a lot of school districts that do not have that arrangement, and we feel very confident that by having highly qualified string players teaching our students, that improves the outcomes that we experience when we have a concert or the end of the year. We also recognize that our community is young, and we are trying very hard to create an identity in our community. Are we an arts community? And I think there's a big component of that, and we, the strings program, would like to play a role in that because the way we see it is we're striving to inspire a love of music in our students, either as musicians or as patrons. So when they attend one of our concerts, obviously we're seeing the outcome of what they've learned, but then we're also teaching them to be respectful, engaged patrons when they're there. Our success with these objectives and with the support of the community it certainly enriches the life of our students, our patrons, and the community as a whole. So the structure of the program, I just have some bullet points here to just kind of remind me and keep me on track of what it is that I want to talk to you about. So we are obviously after school. The students that we serve in Flagler County have to be at least 8 years old by September 1st, and there's a couple of reasons for that. We have very large classrooms. So this year, for example, Joe in his beginner orchestra had 40 kids in just one of his classes. So the idea of having an age, a minimum age, that helps in 2 ways. One, any younger than that, they really need a smaller teacher-student ratio to be successful. And 2, it's a way for us to cap the number of students in the program. To my knowledge, in 18 years, there's only been one time where we actually had to cut off enrollment because what we were receiving, we were concerned that we wouldn't be able to handle the number of students. So that was this year, as a matter of fact. So we had a record number of 232 beginner students, not including our experienced players. So having the age minimum, that kind of controls the number. So for example, if we were to lower it to 7, I would probably see an enrollment of another 75 students, and we would not be able to handle that based on the staffing situation that we have. We're currently located at Indian Trails Middle School. We do not have dedicated space any longer. We're in shared space. The Flagler County School District really doesn't have infrastructure for an orchestra program. That's why we're not teaching classes in band rooms or chorus rooms. Right now we have a very unique situation. We're in the cafeteria over at Indian Trails. We're in an auxiliary lunchroom. We're in a multi-purpose room. We're in a closet on the stage of the cafeteria, and we're in the wrestling room. So we have gotten pretty creative with how we're using that space. The Flagler Youth Orchestra has actually 7 instructors and a director, me, that's running the program. We have 5 different orchestras in the program. 3 of them we refer to as upper orchestras, which means they have more than 1 year experience in the program. The way that we are set up, we consider ourselves sort of a hybrid program, equally focused on instruction and performance opportunities. So if you were to go and look at the Jacksonville Symphony Youth Orchestra, for example, they are focused on performance. So they're assuming that those students that are going to come and audition to them, they have a private teacher, they're members of a school music program, and they're expected to maintain those relationships in order to participate in their program. We have a different situation in Flagler County. So we don't have people who live here that actually teach these instruments. Well, actually there is one, and he worked with us for 9 years. So the approach that we have had to be modified to best serve our particular circumstance here in Flagler County, which is that we don't have that sort of instruction available. Everyone on our staff comes to us from a neighboring county. It's the first challenge that we have, is to find people that do this sort of teaching and do it well and are willing to travel all the way to Flagler County to facilitate the instruction. We developed in 2012 a scope and sequence that would take a student from day 1 of enrolling to our very highest orchestra. And each year, Joe's responsibility is to tweak that and make sure that we're getting the best results that we can. From my perspective, we meet the state standards for an orchestra credit, and we're still having conversations about that, but I really would like to see whether or not we can make that happen, where a student in high school would be able to get credit for what it is that we're doing. Around the same time, we developed an audition process, and that serves a couple of functions. So the audition process is a way for us, we were starting to see students moving to Flagler County who already knew how to play. And so we needed a system in place that would objectively help us to assign them to a proper orchestra. And that obviously benefits students that are homegrown students as well. The other advantage of an audition process every year, Joe actually is one of those teachers that the students plays for. He gets to hear every single returning student, and what he hears will inform him as to what music he's going to program for all of the orchestras when it comes to performance time. And then it also informs him on what materials we're going to cover in our fundamental classes when we're teaching technique and things like that. So each student that enrolls gets 2 hours of instruction each week. And during the course of a week, with all of the teachers that we have on staff, there are 17 one-hour classes that take place. And so each teacher has a different assignment, and we'll actually see those in later slides. But students come into the program, we're moving on the assumption that they are going to be responsible for either renting or purchasing an instrument. But we do offer scholarships to students who qualify for the free and reduced lunch. And that is a request that they can make during the enrollment process. And I would just say that we would also consider extenuating circumstances too, if they have situations that would require help. So to give you a sense, the family cost for supplies to get started, would be a one-time fee, would be between $26 and $37. And that includes a lesson book that we're asking them to purchase. It includes a shoulder rest if they play an instrument that requires one, and a little block of rosin. The reason there's a range is students that play viola, their equipment is a little bit more pricey. Instrument rentals, to give you a sense, when a family goes out to a company to rent an instrument, they're looking at a cost of between $17 and $50 a month to rent an instrument. Just want to make sure I hit everything. So yeah, thank you. So I think you all received this information. This is a breakdown of all of the students that we serve we're serving this year. So we received 375 enrollment forms this year. And so this is the breakdown of how that occurs. This information comes from the enrollment form when they actually sign up. So how do we get those kids to join? We've kind of developed a really strong formula for making that happen. All but COVID years, we go into the elementary level schools and we would do a presentation. Initially, in the early days, we would actually hire a professional quartet to go in and play for the students. As soon as we had students that were capable of demonstrating high quality play, we actually switched over to sending students into the schools to do presentations. So you can see the schools where we go, we actually get a very high number, and that's still, over the years I thought to myself, well, do we need to keep doing this practice because we are relatively well known? But the fact of the matter is having that immediate contact with those instruments, feeling the bright vibration of the instruments is probably one of the best sellers. We also attend the Meet the Teachers. We attend the Back to School Jam. We utilize the school district's Peach Jar email system. We use any online calendars that we can locate. We add our event. And without question, the most important now, after all these years, is word of mouth. In the last 2 weeks, I'm getting phone calls and emails. Their parents have been waiting. Their kids are now finally 8 years old. They've heard from other members of the FYO. They've come to our final concert, and they want to make sure that they're not going to miss out on this opportunity. And I would say within the past 2 weeks, I've probably had 10 different families reach out to me. So that's really, really important. Joe and I were at Panera yesterday, and we walked up to the counter and we had FYO shirts on, and the woman said, "That is a fantastic program." And so I think we have a good reputation for executing this kind of instruction. So next screen. So this is Joe. Joe is the artistic director. He actually conducts 2 orchestras, and he provides all of the cello fundamental instruction in our program. The way that our week is set up, one day is devoted to performance rehearsals, and then the other day is technique. And so we divide the students in a different way on those 2 days. So we're providing the instruction that a private teacher would typically provide in a community that had private teachers. So you can move to the next one. Victor was supposed to be here with us today. He's not feeling so hot. He has an assignment of Con Brio, which is our second highest orchestra, and he also teaches fundamentals on violin and viola. I also included their degrees because I think this is probably one of the strongest teams that we've had in a very long time. Would you agree? I do. So you'll see as we go through the slides. So the next one is Nikki. She conducts the orchestra level just below Victor's. She has a bachelor's of music education as well. And this is our little powerhouse. This is Lacey. Lacey came to us last year, and she handles the largest beginner classes that we have. And the results that she has gotten this year are absolutely, I'm still kind of struck by that. And this is Dr. Pam. Dr. Pam is in the car driving to Flagler and returning home more than she's teaching. She lives in Gainesville. She has a doctorate in music performance, and she actually has kind of a 2-tiered assignment. She works with our most advanced violins and violas, but she also works with a group of beginner violin and violas as well, so she sees both sides. This is Jeremy. Jeremy is our bass fundamental teacher, so he does not come on both days. He only comes when we do fundamental instruction, and he is actually FYO alumni. And The thing that impresses me about him, when the teachers gather to meet and talk strategy and so forth, he is right in there, boy. I'm not worried about him holding his own at all. So, and then that's me. And I just want to point out that I am the Tristram that does not write articles on Flagler Live, if I could just say that out loud real quick. So I joke and refer to myself as the conductor of all things non-musical. So the division of labor in our program is, if it doesn't require a highly skilled teacher to implement the instruction, then I'm going to either take that task on myself, or I'm going to find somebody, a volunteer or whatnot, that can do that. So we do have job descriptions, and this kind of details. This is actually the second page of Joe's personal service contract. We were asked to define that, I want to say maybe 8 years ago, where we just detail everything that he is responsible for. And obviously it's the artistic direction, so he's programming all the music. He's making sure that all of the fundamental materials have been crafted to best serve the students in our program. And then that is my job description, and that's also included on my personal service contract. And so obviously I'm responsible for recruiting, I'm the liaison, I organize and train up volunteers, I chaperone all of the events that we have a highly well, it's through an audition process. We have a quartet of students that go out into the community and perform. So when they do that, I am the person that goes and chaperones the event, since everyone in FYO lives outside of the county. So, and then we also have, just back up just a second, we do have, these are the basic volunteer assignments that we have. We provide supervised walkover from Belterre. I have volunteers that check in students, classroom helpers, concert helpers. We do have a concession stand, and I have a volunteer that's been doing that for, 5 years. And then we have somebody that actually tries to get advertising for our concert program. And then this is the job description for the teachers. It's a little bit more straightforward. I will tell you that the personal services contracts that we plan on submitting are going to be written a little bit differently, because to date, the way they're written, it looks as though the only time they're doing anything is for the 6 hours that they are teaching, and that is just simply not, that's just not true. They do have to develop lessons plans based on what Joe is telling them that they need to cover in their class for that trimester. So the way that they'll be written will be a little bit more reflective of the reality of the amount of time that they're spending doing this. And obviously we, as best we can, I try to handle all communication with parents, so we send out mass emails quite often, usually on a weekly basis. And so I'm responding to those to the best of my ability, and then I do often have to reach out to either Joe or the other teachers to give me some either assistance with responding to questions or inquiries, or have them handle it on the spot. So this slide is about the district's investment in this program, your program. And so the school district, I think what I'll do is I'll give you a little bit of a history of why it is that you're not covering 100% of the contracts for your program. So back in, I believe, 2008, Colleen might remember, we did not renew one of our teachers, and this was during the real estate bubble. And so when we didn't ask her back, we were told that there was a freeze and we could not hire someone else to fill that spot. And my recollection is we went 1 year without that spot being filled, and it was nightmarish, because we had classes where there were 60 kids in the classroom, and that's just not, you just cannot be effective that way. So we asked if it was possible for us to raise the money to offset the cost of the other teacher, and that's where that started. So we started at that point, I want to say it was a little over $8,000 was our contribution for that teacher. And I think what we did is we set a precedent, because several years later, there was I believe a quarter penny sales tax referendum that didn't pass, and the strings program was discussed as one to be eliminated. And so we asked if there could be a compromise, and we agreed to cover the cost of one more teacher. And so that's how it came to be that we were covering those two. So right now, it's approximately 80% of the contracts that you cover. You do provide use of facilities over at Indian Trails, and you also provide hardship bus transportation. And I'd like to talk about that just very briefly because it was brought up last year as a concern, and I just want to explain how we implement that so that you understand how what our thought process is. So one of the questions on the enrollment form is, are you able to get your child to the class without assistance, or do you need help with getting your child there? And so if they ask that, we ask that of us, we explain to them that this is not for convenience to get your child over to string class. You are saying that your child wants to do this and cannot get there any other way if there isn't some sort of transportation to the classes. So we tell them that you may be taking a seat away from another student if you genuinely can get them there. So our parents are very, thank you, our parents are very respectful of that. You do also provide, I guess you'd call it perpetual storage for instruments. There is no line item for instruments or repairs or music or supplies. And so your contribution for the past, I want to say, well, since 2015, has been equivalent to one teacher with benefits. So for that allocation, you're getting all 7 of us facilitating this program. So we do provide scholarship instruments, and we had a little over 100 this year. And 3 years ago was the start of us not having to purchase any other instruments because we had accumulated enough to take care of the requests that we received. So we've been very successful in taking care. In fact, I don't know, we've never turned down a student other than to say, if we don't have a cello in their size, we are not going to buy another cello. Like we've kind of capped off in that regard, but we would provide them with a different instrument, a violin or viola. So, also prompted by last year, there were questions about us not having fees that we passed on to parents. So what we wanted to show here is how do we bring in funds to help cover to offset the cost of the teachers and the other expenses. And so it's pretty streamlined. So we have our concert ticket sales. We sell advertising in our concert programs, and that includes like little notes from parents. We have direct donations. We have a maintenance fee, which is charged to people that have a scholarship instrument. It's $15 a year, and that creates a pool of funds that we can use to buy new bows, buy new cases, buy bulk strings. And then we have an out-of-county fee. And so the out-of-county fee started, I believe it was back in year 3 or 4. We were getting inquiries from neighboring families asking if they could join. And so we approached the superintendent at that time, and he said that they could participate, but we would have a fee associated with that. So the fee is $250 per student, and then it's $100 for each sibling, in a single family. And then we do have a concession stand now. We have not had one for a couple of years. We were told not to, but because we're in the cafeteria now, we were able to start that again. But you can see also the expenses associated with above and beyond the contractor. So our teacher costs are covered there. But we also have to pay, when we do a concert at the Flagler Auditorium, we have to pay a $2 per ticket fee, we have to pay the 5% credit card fee, and we have to pay rent to use the space. We have the cost of goods for the concession stand. Our copying expenses, as you can see, are about $2,300, and that includes the printing of our concert programs, which I brought a sample of it, if you guys want to have a look at this. We set aside, or we budget for a music library, and to give you an idea, a piece of music right now is averaging about $55 a piece. So instrument repairs, we had bow bugs this year, And so those are little bugs that go into the cases and eat the bow hair. And so we had to replace a slew of bows this year. So that's what that covers. We also started a tradition very early on, maybe year 3, where we would actually give scholarships to our graduating seniors. So this year, we give them a $200 scholarship, so we had 10 this year. The graduating seniors this year had a combined 81 years of experience playing their instrument. We don't spend very much on advertising because we do have pretty good word of mouth, and when you have 370 families, they're really also promoting the attendance at the concerts. Communication, that is MailChimp and a software program called CutTime, which is a way for us to stay in touch with families. I don't think we're going to renew that next year, though. Office supplies, so that would be like we have to buy card detailing tape to put finger tapes on instruments. We have to have the means to sort the music. So there's it's like office supply things. We bought a standing desk since we don't have an office anymore. And then the credit card fees, that's just the fees associated with people making donations through our online donation system. So the projected budget for next year would be very similar to what we experienced this year. This has been a very successful year in that we obviously have a lot more students. We were a little bit more driven to raise money for the program. So you can see the numbers they're just based off of what our budget was this year. But this is also where I would mention that no one in the strings program has received a pay increase since 2015. And so we are planning on crafting personal services contracts that reflect an accumulative 2% per year since 2015. And so right now, I think this is going to be pretty final. We're going to be asking you to increase your contribution to $78,880. And then you'll note we're actually promising to raise another $3,000 to cover costs of teachers as well. So this is why we're doing all this. We had 375 kids sign up this year, and the pictures that you see up here are obviously from our Flagler Auditorium concerts. There are pictures there that reflect orchestras that had 121 students in them. And our program, we really feel, is like a second home to these kids. They come in and they feel comfortable. One of our great success stories is a student who, I don't know this for certain, but I suspect is on the spectrum and would cry for the majority of the class the first couple of weeks, and by the end of the season, he was walking around like he owned, Indian trails. So, but this is who we're doing this for, these students. And you can go to the next slide. So these are our bragging points, I think, for this particular year. We had a group of students perform with a professional tribute band. We had a record number of beginner students at 232. We wrote and published the first of many scale books, which we then, at our cost, had copied and distributed to the students. We were invited to the rehearsal of the Ukrainian National Orchestra performing at the Flagler Auditorium. We collaborated with the Palm Coast Chamber Players in a major minor concert, and then the Daytona Beach Choral Arts Society, who came to Palm Coast. We performed the only live full orchestral music performance in Flagler County in nearly 2 years, which I don't think is a small thing. The fact that the school district is responsible for that, I think, is amazing. And it's a testament to the commitment to the arts. Our concert in April was our 50th concert that we produced at the Flagler Auditorium. And we sold out the Flagler Auditorium in November, February, and April. We graduated 11 seniors with 81 years of total experience. And this is just shameless, is what this is. There's speaker Paul Renner learning how to hold an instrument by one of our students. The picture in the upper right-hand corner is our concertmaster Jack performing with a world-renowned violinist and conductor from Brazil. And Mayor David Alphen was also, and I know he's here today because he's very supportive of the Flagler Youth Orchestra, but this is just a sample of the organizations that we've collaborated with over the years. So this is just to show you again, we've had 2 superintendents perform with us as guest soloists. We've collaborated with the Education Foundation, the Creekside Festival, which offers one of the best venues for a quartet performance. We have a thing for dinosaurs. We just had one at our April concert. I don't know if you've seen the video of that, but it's unbelievable. But that's actually Joe in that costume. And then we also worked with a former string student who is an Eagle Scout, and his Eagle Scout project was building a bass rack so that we would not have to buy one. And just a reminder that while we do this for music's sake, we really do want them to have an appreciation for doing this. We're not doing it to improve their test scores, although we suspect it probably helps with that. But in addition, we know that students that study music learn a lot of other skills like collaboration and community and composure and confidence and responsibility and problem solving. And so I didn't even tell you about this one. I got this morning, actually. These are 2 FYO alumni who are touring Italy right now with Stetson University's orchestra. Evan on the left just graduated with her bachelor's degree in music performance, and Corey on the right just finished his first year at Stetson. And we're very happy to report we have another student who is going to Stetson this year for music performance and is receiving a $54,000 scholarship to go. And this was a note that we just received from one of our students, but this is one of, at this point, 18 years in, we've received hundreds of notes like this. And so we know that the students, and not just the students, but their parents as well, appreciate what it is that their children are receiving from this program. And so we would like to obviously invite you. I don't think it's been years since we've had a school board member actually come to our classes. They attend our concerts pretty frequently, but we'd very much like for you to come and tour the setup of how we have the classes set up, because if you...
It's impressive.
Yeah, so I think that would, I think we have to plan on that. We've crafted our schedule already. We would love to see you in late October once we get everything kind of settled down. Our open house, if all goes well, would be on August 30th, and we would invite you to be there as well.
Okay, questions?
I have several comments.
Okay, go ahead.
The first is, this is great, thank you for your breakdown, but I don't see the actual expense report on how everything is done attached here for the public, so that they see how everything is broken down.
Okay.
It says teacher costs are $21,000. That's your projected budget for this
Which
coming year.
screen are we on?
18. But the expense report that I have for the past 22-23 year, the salaries were $63,931. So I think for transparency, we provide an expense report on everything, so I don't know why this isn't here as well. Question, what is the tax status for the orchestra?
So the account that was set up for us by the first superintendent, it is like a booster account, is what it is. And it's the one we've had.
Is that like a legal thing that we can do?
Yeah.
So Christy, just to share, I don't mean to interrupt, but just to share, to clarify something. So what you are looking there is what Cheryl is presenting as their budget, their additional dollars, right? What you're talking about, the expense report from Patty, right, that can be added to this agenda item for public information, but that is coming from the school district as part of the contract. So that 21, and if I'm wrong, Cheryl, correct me, but I believe when they say teacher costs, that's the money they're responsible for raising.
That's correct.
The additional dollars.
Okay, right. So that's additional.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Right. And so that we're saying right now, we've been historically shooting for 18, but we're saying that we're willing to increase it to 21.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there background checks done?
Yes. So the way that it's set up, when your $70,000 combined with what we give you, we are set up as 1099 contractors. So he had to go through fingerprinting, I had to go through so everyone on the staff has to go through fingerprinting. So that's why it's funneled through there for that safety precaution. And then you are distributing the money directly to the people that are executing this program. Right? So you're not giving us $70,000 for us to pay them. You're paying him directly, you're paying me directly.
I'm not saying it's not a wonderful program. It looks wonderful. But, and I know this was brought up in the past, there's lots of wonderful youth programs, but they don't get $80,000 to operate. So my own children play baseball, working parents, they volunteer. We run that, we get sponsorships. So yeah, I want to make sure we're doing everything right and legal.
Yeah, I have some questions. Thanks for the presentation, very thorough. I am trying to get more acquainted with the relationship between Flagler Youth Orchestra and Flagler Schools. So I want to first try to understand, so this is a Flagler Schools program?
Yes.
Okay. And then, so when I looked at the financials, basically it looks like a payroll. I mean, all the money is going to individual people, not so much to a program. It's going to pay.
Correct, a contract. So that's the way to think about it. We asked them, the school district, asked them to provide this expertise service, right? And so it's not like we're contracting with FYO, we're contracting with individual folks. Like all those teachers, that's what you're looking at when you see that breakdown. They're being paid as individual contractors. That's why they're 1099 employees.
Okay.
So it's not like
so
FYO is getting a lump sum.
Right.
So they are considered employees?
They're contractors.
Independent contractors.
Just like we do with our mental health counselors.
So it's a 1099.
It's a personal service contract that I can have Chris speak to. That's how they're paid.
Yeah, personal service.
Yeah, and well, wait for that answer.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So every year, I work with Cheryl to get a few of us, we get complete personal services contracts for these particular employees or 1099 contractors. They are submitted from Cheryl through purchasing. They get vetted through HR to make sure the fingerprinting and background checks and everything is clear to go. The invoices and those, I believe they're attached on board docs. We then issue purchase orders to each individual that is a 1099 contractor for this.
Okay. So does each individual have a contract with Flagler Schools, or is there one contract for each instructor?
Yes.
Each person that's getting paid out of that?
Correct.
Because each one of them provided different service, basically. You might have...
Right, and each person doesn't have the same schedule, for example. So when we craft the schedule for the entire season, there are days when we don't need Lacey to come over. So her dates of service are different than Joe's or Victor's or Nikki's. We try to keep it really tight. We don't want people coming over and not actually doing anything. So each one's individualized to that person.
And how do we count for if we're doing, how are we coming up with the number that we actually pay each individual? Because there's different payouts at different times. How is that accounted for?
So Joe and we have sort of a flat fee to get the work done no matter what. So we don't have set hours. So my availability to parents is from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So if they need me, they can reach out anytime. Obviously, I go to evening events for the Education Foundation, different organizations. So ours is different. But the teachers themselves, we craft a schedule, and I think this year we had 66 classes that not all of the teachers come over on those 66 classes. So that's why you see a difference. So Jeremy, for example, only comes over when we have fundamental classes on Wednesdays. So that's why his contract is valued less, because we don't need him on Monday. Same thing with Victor and Nikki. They come on both Monday and Wednesday, so that's why their contract has more value.
But are they paid out based on actual instructional hours? So let's just say can't be there today. I have a contract with you. Is that
If they don't come over, they don't get paid.
Okay, so it is on actual instruction.
It's hourly. So we actually submit to you an invoice that shows what their hours were for that week, and I have a timesheet that's filled out for them.
Okay.
Yep.
Goes to Deanna. But
So I
yes.
think some of the misconceptions are that we are contracting with FYO and giving them a lump sum and they're distributing. It's never worked. It's never been that way. So each individual person is a personal services contract, similar to what we do with some of our mental health counselors. That's just one that comes to mind. What other positions do we do in that way where we use a personal services contract?
A lot of times we'll do like anyone that services like the pianos for the band, or any kind of, no one, like not a company that still services something in the district, usually is a personal service contract. They are paid hourly. It's ran through our accounts payable process. So once Cheryl submits the invoice and the timesheet, it's processed through the AP program.
So
if you would like to make us employees, that would be great. I mean, it's a cost-saving measure because we are personally having to pay, the self-employment tax.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to get at is if this is a program though from Flagler Schools, because of this arrangement, what oversight do we have over the program other than meeting once a year to approve the funding for it or not?
Through the timesheets you're keeping.
Are you speaking
No, the
in terms of
program
the
as a whole. I mean,
Yeah.
if it's a school program, we have control over that program.
Yeah.
But in this arrangement, I don't see where that is other than just the money. So where does the Flagler Schools have control over a program that is a Flagler School program?
I don't think it's ever been set up where Flagler Schools has control over the program, other than here is the mission, here is what we've asked the contractors to provide and to do. And then annually, we look at the numbers of students that are, participating, and we're kind of tracking the progress and the involvement. Yeah. But as far as, the director of education or secondary, anybody saying, we don't want you to run the program this way, we want you to run the program that way. That's why we have personal services contract with the 2 program directors. That's what they're charged with. And then annually, we get basically an update on the program to see the oversight that's there. But we're not micromanaging the program.
But the evidence too, I mean, you can go to any of our
you probably have
concerts
about
to
300
see.
families that are
But I mean,
providing
you
some
see the
oversight.
results of what we accomplish publicly. Like it's like all out there on the table, either through like the auditorium events or the community events where we play at the Rotary or the 5K when you were running by the quartet. That's sort of the results. Like those are the results that we get.
So, what's the entity? Like I searched online. I can't find anything that is a corporation. Anything that is
it's not an entity.
It's the school district.
Well, then where does all this money go that they're raising? I should ask you that question.
Into the booster account.
The projected budget doesn't make sense to me. I guess because I've already seen the expense reporting and then this. So where's the makeup for the salaries then?
You mean our part of it? Can you go back to the previous screen? So the expenses would be $18,290.
I know, I'm looking at all your concessions and all that stuff makes sense.
Right.
So we actually receive, if I've got that correct, there's dollars that are contributed to offset the salaries.
Right.
right?
And then we give it to you.
Yeah, they pay us.
We
So
give
the
you the money.
additional dollars that they raise, like for the teacher, they're stroking a check to the school district to cover the additional salary costs.
Okay. I mean, I'm just saying it's not that much, but.
Well, is there any participation from any of the enrolled students in this program, financial participation?
Well, obviously, they have the cost of the supplies and the rental of the instrument, and the majority of the money that you see there from the like the program sales and everything. These are our parents that are doing that.
Okay. And then this money, that money, the concessions, the ticket sales, this all goes into the booster account?
Right.
Okay, and who administers the booster account?
School district.
Okay.
It's just like
So-
a Sterling
so-
account, just
okay.
like football. Like, yeah, all sports boosters are managed that way too.
And you mentioned about you have an online funding, like a, I
Right.
don't know, GoFundMe.
You can make a
something.
donation.
Donation platform.
And that goes into that booster account.
It goes in that booster account. And then how are
That's
those?
why you see a charge for credit card fees.
And how are those funds accessed by, are there bills sent to the booster account to be paid? How does money flow out of the booster account?
So when we need to purchase a bow or a case or anything like that, we make that purchase, because there is no line item for the school district to cover that. So for example, if we're comparing it to the band department, you would have the salary for that teacher, you would allocate funds for instruments, you would have an allocation for, I don't know what other expenses so you are responsible, like the school district is responsible for those things. The situation that we have, you're not taking care of that part of it, right? You're only paying for a portion of the teachers to execute the program.
Okay. And then things like the scholarships and for instruments, and where's that? Where are the instruments coming from, and where's the money coming from for the instruments, all that?
Well, that's the money that we raise. It's from the money that we have
So
coming in.
those there cover all the instruments for
Correct, and we do receive straight instrument donations. So somebody that's been in the program, their child outgrew an instrument, then they would donate that instrument to us. That's what's stored over at Indian Trails. That's what makes it possible, like if we get a new request for a scholarship instrument, we check to see whether or not we have what's available, and that gets assigned to that student.
Okay. And so are there any other revenues involved with the Flagler Youth Orchestra that to go into any other account other than this booster account? Okay.
No.
It's a really unique setup.
It's one of a kind in the state.
Do we have any other relationships like this with any other? Because it seems like basically what we're supporting is the instructional cost.
Correct.
Is
Yeah.
what we're
Yeah.
we're covering through this.
If we ran this program through the school
afford it.
system, we couldn't afford it, quite frankly. We're very fortunate to have this arrangement, which was actually put together by his previous superintendent.
And Dr. Gines was really
Yeah.
a big proponent of this too. And it was the
School board
idea
member.
that really providing strings instruction, students don't get that. You look at any other district in the state,
This
very,
is, I'd
doesn't
like to
happen.
speak to that. This is a very unique thing, because either the district provides string educations like they provide band and chorus, or they do not.
Right.
And so there are some communities, it's usually the larger cities, Jacksonville, Orlando, Miami, Tampa. A lot of the counties around those cities do have district programs. They also have sort of community programs like the Jacksonville Youth Symphony or the Florida Symphony Youth Orchestra in Orlando, which are tuition-based programs, community-run programs, and they're usually 503Cs. And the students have to pay $800 or more per year to be in it. They have to be taking
ready.
lessons from the private teacher, and it's mandatory that they attend their school's ensembles, or else they can't be in those. So it's either one of those two situations or nothing. And this is the only program like this that I know of in the state of Florida.
Well, the other thing too, if we were to talk about, let's go with the number that you have been paying for, I think since 2015, the $70,000. So that's the cost of one teacher with benefits. So if you were to say, okay, no more FYO, we're not gonna structure it this way, you'd be able to go and hire one teacher. And the way that it's typically framed in other districts, that teacher would be assigned to a middle school and a high school. So they would spend half the day in the middle school, half the day in the high school. So now the only students that would have access to that instruction are the ones zoned for that particular school. In our situation, if you look at, I think, slide 3, we're predominantly an elementary level. I mean, the majority of our students are elementary age. So if you go and hire one single teacher, you're going to have an impact in one middle school and one high school. And then the younger kids, the elementary kids, will have absolutely nothing. There won't be any instruction for them. So
it's unique. It's unique.
Well, the program itself, I think, is wonderful. I think it's doing wonderful things for kids. I've spoken with parents that have been through your program and have given it high praise. The reason for these questions is, one, to understand this here, as this is the first time we're seeing this here, but secondly, for the transparency of it. And it was a very unique structure here, and so for the benefit of the public, I wanted them to understand that. So in summary, if the monies that we're paying out go directly to individual instructors, so we are paying for the instruction of the program, all monies go into this booster account, which this is available public information, correct? The booster, anybody
Audited, they get audited
can pull. So there's no in or out of any other funds with this program other than what comes in from the school district and what is deposited and spent out of that account. Am I correct in saying it that way?
everything that we generate, so that on that first side, goes into that singular account. And then anything coming out of it is for purchasing instruments, for purchasing repairs, and then paying for what we've committed to covering for the other costs.
Okay. And there isn't a formal entity, Flagler Youth Orchestra, it's just a brand, basically.
It's the name of the program.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Got it. Go ahead.
I do have a question. And we've brought this up, but this has come up a couple of times before over the years. But is there a way for our high school students to earn high school credit, Kathy?
So to qualify for earning credits, you have to have certain hours of instruction by a certified personnel. And then you have to look at, is it a level 1 course or all the way up to honors level courses?
Right.
So there would need to be some discussion through teaching and learning in the Department of Education, how you would facilitate that to capture the number of hours by way of attendance, to demonstrate with appropriate fidelity that these students are receiving the instruction at that level, through any type of standards, through any type of assessments that are required to earn those credits. So I think the initial thought years and years ago was going down the right pipeline to achieve that. Now I think you still have some hurdles that you would need to overcome.
Because that would, and I'm curious, if it was like scheduled as an 8th period, would the schools then, the high schools, be able to capture any FTE associated with it if it was for high school credit?
Again, it's instructional minutes, a certified teacher, and documentation of all of the lesson plans, the designs, and the assessments to bundle it all together.
So if all of those things were checked off the list and they could get high school credit for it, could the district receive a portion of FTE for it?
If it's an assigned class within the course scheduling option, they could. I still think there's quite a few things that you need to work through to achieve that.
That's an ultimate goal.
So in this structure, could not get credit for this?
Not right now. No, because your teachers would have to get certified. I mean, there would be things they would need to do. They did put a lot of work into developing a scope and sequence that meet state standards, but you'd have to go back and provide evidence.
Every instructor would have to be certified? Is that my understanding?
Some sort of certification would need to be in
and
place.
then you got to remember, full-time equivalency, a student can only earn so many credits towards what you're going to get paid for. Right. So it just might be an additional opportunity for a student, but not necessarily generating any FTE towards the payment of the salary.
Got you. I was just curious.
I think it would be nice to see that. I mean, it'd be a great option for students.
It would, if we could get there.
Yeah.
We gotta get there, right?
I'd like to
More
work
of a
towards
purpose.
something like that, if there should be some, direct benefit to their.
Well, I also wonder too, on the issue of having to have the entire staff certified, if there was one teacher on staff
Teacher
who
of
was.
record.
Right, so that would be the person that would oversee any sort of yearly evaluations or anything like that.
Might be a good goal to set, just to do some investigation over the course of the year.
Yeah.
For sure.
I see Ms. Moore taking good notes over there.
Good.
But
All
that
right,
would
we done?
benefit everybody.
Yes.
We good?
Yep.
Everybody good?
Okay.
Sal, you have anything?
Did we lose her? Did we lose?
I think we
Sally,
got
did we
Sally to
lose you?
sleep.
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, thank you very much for the information. Here, Joe.
The only other thing, Madam Chair, that I think would be beneficial, if at some point when we look at the agreement, that we look at a multi-year agreement.
Yes, I understand.
So at whatever point we
Sure,
get to
it would
that.
make sense.
Yeah.
All right, thank you both very much.
Thank you, appreciate
Do
it.
you want a 5-minute break?
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I thought. All right, 5 minutes, we'll be back, ready to roll.
Thank you again.
Close to 10 after, okay? we're gonna go. Please find a seat so we can continue, pick up where we left off. We're gonna start operational services. We're on 8.01. The rescission of the proportionate share mitigation agreement, Whistle Stop Farms. Ms. Gavin.
Chair Massaro, Board, you have before you a rescission agreement and mutual release. Back in July of 2022, we entered into a proportionate share mitigation agreement with Whistle Stop Farms. The reason that mitigation agreement was entered into was this property was being permitted for 6 residential dwelling units. During that processing, apparently somehow it lost its designation as being agricultural, and that was an error. When it was discovered, it was brought to our attention after they had already entered into that proportionate share mitigation agreement, because they didn't have an agricultural designation. They were just designated those 6 parcels of property as residential, and because they were going to trigger that there would be an impact as a result of those 6 residential units being built, we entered into that proportionate share mitigation agreement. The error has been corrected. They are now back as being an agricultural designation for their zoning purposes, and as a result, the developer and legal came to us to ask how we could rectify this, and we determined that it would be in the best interest to do a rescission of that agreement. So we will be reimbursing $27,000 of that $32,700 agreement. $27,250 is going to be reimbursed. There has been one parcel that was sold, and that person has chosen to keep that impact fee credit. And so they will have that impact fee credit for that one parcel. Otherwise, we will be reimbursing $27,250, and those 5 other impact fee vouchers are being returned. So we're going back as if it should never have been a part of the proportionate share.
Okay. Are we good?
We give them 27.
Yes, they had already paid us under the proportionate share mitigation. They had already paid us the $32,000, and so we are reimbursing them back.
Because they're going back to agriculture. Okay.
Yes, because they're going back to agricultural, or they have already been placed back as agricultural. Any questions?
Nope. All right, thank you. Pretty straightforward. All right, then we're going down to 8.02, proportionate share agreement, Grand Reserve Phase 5, and then we'll go right into Phase 6. Hello. Now we have Mr. Whitston. Hello.
Good afternoon, Board, Madam Chair, Superintendent Middlestat. I am happy to introduce William Whitson, who is our new intergovernmental planner to the district. He comes with a wealth of knowledge as a city planner and our manager, and he's been here for a couple weeks now and helping me out, and so he's ready to talk to you about our proportionate share mitigation agreement for Grand Reserve.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Chair Massaro and members of the board, Ms. Middlestat. What we're here to talk about today is the proportionate share mitigation agreement for Grand Reserve Development. This is Phase 5. It's actually just down the street. An easy one, and instead of giving money back, we're going to be taking money in. And so this has to do with 112 unit single family development. Again, in Grand Reserve in the city of Bunnell. The development will generate 25 students stationed, 10 at the elementary level, 6 at middle school, and 9 at the high school. And this is the standard canned agreement.
Yep. Very good.
Any questions?
Any questions on that particular one?
No questions.
No. No, it's pretty standard, right?
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right, then we're going to go on to the next one, which would be Grand Reserve Phase 6.
Phase 6. This is in the same area, but it's bigger. There's 141 units. There's a map attached to the agreement's Exhibit B, I believe.
Oh, so this isn't near the golf course, huh? It's on the other side?
It's
Yeah.
on the entrance.
It's all that vacant area
Yep,
there.
Yep.
So it's
a
really
lot
gonna
of
start to
houses.
pop. I drove over there the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Took me forever to get back in there, and there was nothing there until you got way back into the development. So this is gonna change that look.
So that's 141?
One,
And
yes.
the other one is 112?
112.
That's a lot of homes.
Yep.
How many student stations does that generate?
32 student stations, 12 at the elementary level, which we have concurrent, we have capacity for, 8 at the middle school, and 12 at the high school.
That's where we're booked.
And 57 total between
I know,
both of them.
and we're already over our limit there.
And the pipeline goes long. This is the easy stuff there. Wait till you see what's happening in Palm Coast.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions on phase 6? Nope. Going down to the next one then.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Company
much.
contract. Yes, thank you, gentlemen. That was easy. Request board approval for award of accompanying contract for invitation to bid on the Flagler Palm Coast High School parking lot improvements. Ms. Calera and Mr. Bush.
And a few others.
And a few others.
And the team.
Good
And the team.
afternoon, Chair Massaro, board members, and Superintendent Middlestat. We're here to present you the FPC parking lot and stormwater drainage project. I have Corey, Chuck, and John Dillard from Zev Cohen. They're going to give you a little bit of an overview of the project itself.
I can't believe this is really going to happen.
Agreed.
Sorry. On the current slide, you'll see that we've had issues in the parking lot over many years with flooding. As mentioned, we have a main concern is to correct the drainage. Lighting throughout the parking area is outdated and needed of upgrade. On the next slide, the current storm drainage. As you can see, we have no drainage in the parking lots 1 and 2 other than in the southern end indicated in the blue and the red. All the water currently sheets down to there.
It does.
On the next slide at the bottom, you'll see the existing storm line with the 3 arrows going down to there. That's the current storm line that is there. It's currently in bad shape and it is the only drainage. We'll be adding storm inlets up through closer to the school, and we have 4 runs that you can see there that we'll be adding storm drainage to cover that.
And as part of this, we're changing the parking lot routing. What we're showing here in the red arrows, there are going to be gates added to the right and 2 to the left, and that is, we talked with the school and our team about creating a serpentine for in the morning and the afternoon for students. So those will get closed, and then they will come in off of 100 and basically serpentine through the whole parking lot, going in front of the school, then coming back out in front of the auditorium, and then exiting on 100. Those gates will then be opened for normal access, and as you can see, if you're familiar, there's arrows that are going through how you currently were to come out of FPC parking lot. That is now going to be parking spaces instead of, if you move your arrow up, that whole area, if you recall, that's where you would exit currently. Now that'll all be parking spots. And you will exit in front of the auditorium out with that way down, no, the other way. Yeah, down, there you go. And that's how you would exit the parking lot. And by doing all of that, this creates 133 new parking spots in the entire facility in the front. Next slide. This is our schedule that we are here on the 16th, and I'm just going to the vote on the 20th, then notice to proceed on the 21st. This will allow our contractor to procure a lot of the concrete structures, to be able to get the material on site, And our plan is to, phase one will start mobilization on March 1st of 2024, to be completed in June of 24, and then start phase two, which would be at the guard shack all the way to the youth center, from June to August of 24.
So we received 2 bids on this project. It was determined that Four Seas Trucking and Excavation was the lowest responsive bidder.
And the recommendation of the board was a project for Four Seas Trucking Excavation for $2,524,482.50, and this will be being funded out of capital funds. Any questions?
Go ahead. Ellen, did you have a question?
No.
I just want to verify when you leave FPC now, you're going to go all the way across in front of the auditorium and out by the light or is there going to be another gate there?
No, ma'am. If you can go back to that slide. So stop. Where the 2 yellow arrows are, that is how you would exit the facility. That area is going to be widened for, to allow to get out. Because currently there is still one exit. It's just right through the middle of the parking lot. And it causes congestion, and then when you're in the auditorium area, the only way to get back out of there is to go back against traffic to get in that area. So with our design team and our flow, we were trying to make it a more consistent flow of exiting that parking lot. And then it allowed us also to pick up, like I said, 133 more parking spots, which is, you never have enough parking spots, so.
No, and that's true. And no, in that parking lot needs to be redesigned.
Right. There's
no
other,
doubt about that.
There's other parking spots that are gonna be picked up there right in front of it, right there,
Yeah.
correct? That's another area that we'll be picking up some additional, part of the 133 as well.
Okay, and then how does that, I'm trying to figure how that accesses the back parking lot over there by the youth center. So will they continue straight like they do now?
Yes, ma'am.
So that'll stay the same?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yep.
And then the other thing I have is to make certain that as through this project that we maintain communications with the auditorium because they will be having shows.
Yes, ma'am.
So we're gonna have
Their
realign parking as you go through that.
We have their tentative schedule for
Yeah.
the next year,
Yep.
and that was included in our bid with
Yeah.
our contractors. They're aware of it, and we've been working with the auditorium throughout this project.
And we have to, just keep that communication line open. You promised and they're counting on it. That's it.
Yes.
Looks good. We need this desperately.
Yes, agreed.
Because the water does flow all the way to the front. It kind of washes it all out. Seen that for many years. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, anybody else? All right, thank you, gentlemen. All right, we're moving along then to 8.05. Request board approval for the award and accompanying contract for invitation to bid for Matanzas High School addition and renovations. Ms. Clara and Mr. Bush.
Okay. So all of the same people here, except we have Patrick Rausch from Schenkel Schultz, who is the engineer architect on this project.
On the left-hand side, you'll see the tentative schedule that was proposed. At the pleasure of the board, on the right-hand side, you see the new proposed schedule. At the pleasure of the board, we'd like to bring this to the 6 p.m. meeting tonight for your approval and recommendation so that we can stay on the original scheduled date. This will allow us to begin the submittal process and get this project in line and remain on our schedule.
This is the bid results. We had two bids that were submitted. And after a thorough review of documentation, discussion, and meetings, it was determined that Sabungi did not conform to the mandatory or essential requirements contained in the solicitation. So our recommendation is going to be to HA Contracting Corporation. And this is the budget for this project, and this will be utilizing impact fees. Any questions?
Questions? Dr. Conklin.
I guess so two pieces. One, the first one is just for confirmation. So you're saying the low bid did not meet the requirements of the RFP, basically?
That is correct. Yes, ma'am.
Invitation to bid.
Invitation to bid.
Yes.
The second thing is, so one, we're talking about the amount of 18 million, but then the projected budget, project budget, is that what we set it at 22?
That encompasses, but yes, that's the overall budget. The 18,750,000 is the price from,
Construction.
correct, the price from HA Contracting. And then when you add the architectural fees, I do want to add that the architect fees, they are based off of a % of the construction. And Schenkel Schultz, in our relationship, they chose to not increase that, which they could have, but they maintained their cost at what it was originally. So that's very nice of them to do that. And then we have the FF&E survey and additional. So the overall total budget for the district is the 22,645,045.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions?
And putting this on the agenda tonight gives us the opportunity to get back on track.
That is correct, back on track of our original
Timetable.
schedule, and then procurement of materials, because we do have some long lead items that are somewhere between 10 to 12 months, so the sooner that we can start that process, the better opportunity we have to meet the deadlines.
Madam Chair, can I ask a follow-up question to that?
Yes, you may. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it'd be great to get it on the agenda tonight. I just maybe would have a question for Christy as far as public notice. Is there anything that would prohibit us from putting it on the agenda tonight?
It actually is on the agenda as a placeholder, and so it's
Okay,
noted as a
so we are
placeholder.
good to go.
We are good to go.
Okay, excellent.
Okay.
And
Will?
I just want to point out too that, there is some difference in pricing here, and we are going with the higher bid. But I just want, for the sake of the public, to know that, I personally met with this team for over 2 hours to discuss that difference, and they gave me what I felt was a satisfactory explanation of why they had to choose to go to the higher bid. So I just want the public to know that we didn't just quickly come up with this
correct
here in this short conversation. A lot of hours have been invested in getting to this point to choose this particular contractor. So.
Okay. All right, anyone else?
Thank you for your work.
Yeah, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
We're good.
Thank you.
And
We'll see you this
ladies.
So we are good.
We're
for
gone
this evening?
tonight. Yeah, we're
Okay,
gone
thank
tonight.
you so much.
Thank you.
All right, good. All right, I guess at this point, Kathy, are you done?
I am, Madam Chair. If you'll excuse me, I will be done.
I kind of thought so, I just wanted to give you the opening. See you
Tonight,
later.
Board.
All right, see you tonight. All right, we're going down into item 11, which is the school board attorney information. Ms. Gavin. Well, we're starting interim superintendent selection and contract. 11:01. You all have a copy of the contract as it's being proposed. It's in there.
Yes, I looked at that, yes.
Okay.
Chair Massaro, board members, so before we get into the interim superintendent, I just wanted to provide to you an updated timeline for the superintendent search and let you know that I have been in touch with Andrea Messina of the Florida School Board Association, and she will be here on June 2nd. Sally, I will have your copy of this timeline at my office, and you can either grab it from, and I'll bring it to you tonight.
Bring it to the meeting, yeah.
Yeah, and I'll bring it to you tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Just wanted to let you know, Ms. Messina will be meeting with you all at the information meeting in June to go over this timeline. This is a tentative timeline, but we hope to have it be as close to how we intend to run and operate. If you have any questions regarding any of the dates or anything, please let me know so I can let Ms. Messina know, so her team can work through that. So setting that aside, I took the opportunity at your direction and also with the assistance of Chair Massaro to discuss with your Assistant Superintendent LaShaka Moore her interest, willingness to serve as the interim superintendent. And what is on the agenda is the interim superintendent employment agreement. It is coming before you and will be brought again this evening if there are no questions. It contains much of the same language as the superintendent agreement would contain. There are a few things that have been left out because she is only interim and not serving in that permanent capacity. So for example, the evaluation has been shifted and changed, that instead of you as a board evaluating her, she would be evaluated by the incoming superintendent, just as she currently is evaluated by Superintendent Middlestat. And so that is one of the differences between this contract and what normally you would see for a superintendent contract. The amount is $12,500. That equates to about, not about, it is, if it were to be over an annual period, $150,000. That is to allow you to have your range, and that's going to be a conversation that you will also have with FSBA about your range of what you want your superintendent's salary to be. Ms. Massaro and I both looked into what the rate is currently for superintendents that are of our size district with the same number of, or approximate same number of students, as well as that are in demographics. You know, is it inland or is it with the beach, which we have? And so 140 and 160 would probably be that salary range, and so Ms. Moore's contract at $150,000 is commensurate with that. She will still be, even though she's going to be parsing out some of her responsibilities as the assistant superintendent, she is not, and we are not replacing her in that position of assistant superintendent of academics. She will still be handling that, but she will have as her main and primary job being the superintendent of schools effective July 1 through, and we have the time period that it would be through January 31st of 2024. July 1 is when she will take over and assume as superintendent. We can only have one superintendent at a time, and therefore her start of being the superintendent will be July 1. We are having a 30-day overlap at the beginning so that she will have an overlap with Superintendent Middlestat for 30 days, and then there would be a 30-day overlap for that incoming superintendent to be able to work with her and work through what has been going on dynamics-wise of the district and staff. So that is what has been worked into the agreement. Are there any questions?
So that compensation is now encompassing all, or it's not in addition to her current?
It is
right?
not in addition to her current. And so,
Sure.
yeah. So the way that, if you look at the way I have written the agreement for, and that's why I did it on a monthly basis, because it is not for a full year. So beginning June 1, the monthly cost would be $12,500. That will be her monthly salary.
Okay.
Plus other benefits that she would be
Right,
extended
that
to the
the-
superintendent.
Yeah.
She'll be extended the
I
same.
read that, yeah.
Yeah.
Then, at the end of January, when that $12,500 goes away, she will step back into the role of Assistant Superintendent of Academics and Instruction, and her salary then will be her current salary plus the typical step or increase that she would have received had she remained in that position and served as of July 1. So then her salary will go back to whatever that dollar amount is.
Yeah, yeah.
And that will be her payment beginning with the February.
And I think I read it clearly in here, but it does say that once the term comes to an end, she is guaranteed her position of assistant superintendent to go back to.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Is it okay to ask, I'm just curious, what's the current salary right now
For Superintendent Middlestat,
Yeah.
so right now Superintendent Middlestat, I want to say it's 146,000.
I was gonna say, I
Yeah,
thought it was
lower.
close to 150.
Yeah, no, but there will be 150
900, but
with the
if
increment.
you were
normal
to
increment.
add the increase of
Yeah.
what she would be making, it would be approximately between 150 to 153.
So we're in the ballpark. That was the idea, to stay within what the budget already had allocated for. And the average salary right now for Florida superintendent is $165,000.
That's average.
That's average. Now, we've got big schools, you know, and they're all going for the $240,000 schools. You know, and then you have really smaller schools too. There's a lot smaller schools too.
One of
So-
the districts I looked at was Charlotte County, which has about the same size student population as we do.
Coastal.
Coastal.
Yeah.
And in 2019, when they had started with that superintendent, it was 164,000. So I used that as sort of a barometer.
Yeah, but now they're
We've
asking
always kind of been on the
204,000.
lower end.
Well,
Charlotte's now 204,000.
yeah, I'm just thinking of things like inflation and stuff. It's, you know, it's, I don't know, it's tough. Right?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I
and
wish
right.
we could do better, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't, I mean,
Well, and maybe in all honesty, when we get into the conversation of doing the advertisement, if we want to increase that salary so we attract better talent,
That's
we can
the
have that
discussion.
conversation
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah.
So this is just about the shaka right now
Yeah.
for this piece,
yeah, and it's something to keep in mind, because like I said, the average is 165, and we're falling below that. And you gotta understand that if you wanna attract competent leaders, you're gonna have to increase the salary line, and that's what the discussion that we're gonna have to have. Do we wanna increase it? Where do we wanna increase it? How much? Because a lot of the people who are like assistant superintendents will probably already be making more than the 160. These are
And
the
if
things we have to think about.
Yeah, if we ask somebody to move here and pay the current interest rate on a house, what a house
Yeah,
costs.
yeah, everything's crazy.
They might say, I can't afford that.
Yeah, no, right, that's what, so these are the conversations
and
we'll have
there's,
to have.
what, 13 now openings? Superintendent openings?
I did well
12,
recently.
13?
Well,
It's quite a bit.
You've had a couple that have just been hired,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yes, there are quite a few, and so this will come before you this evening for approval. But because we wanted to get it in place, so that you weren't voting on it at the mid-June meeting, because she will already be in that position. So that was the reason for sort of trying to expedite this. And so unless there's other questions. and-
Yeah, Madam Chair, I've got a couple.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So Christy, two things. I'll start with maybe the easier one to answer. As far as benefits go, are there any benefits Ms. Moore would be receiving that would essentially change once she would, you know, if she does, if it ends up that she goes back to the assistant superintendent role? I think like health insurance, does she receive a different health insurance package? You know, that's a concern of mine. I would hate for her to, you know, have certain benefits for half the year and she can't quite plan for her family based on what she's been getting the second half. So that's my first question.
Sure. So as far as the expenses, if you look at what the additional benefits are, she will receive a $700 a month stipend towards her expenses. That is what currently Superintendent Middlestat receives, and that's so that if she is attending the Rotary Club and there's a lunch and she has to pay $20 or $40 for that, it is to assist with those kind of expenses, because we do expect her to continue to operate just as a superintendent does and attend those types of meetings or those types of activities. So there is that $700 monthly that she would lose once she goes back to being the assistant superintendent that she is afforded. In addition, she is entitled to receive a little bit of a different bump when it comes to her Florida retirement benefit, and so that would be shifted back, so she'll get that for about a 7-month period and then it shifts back. But as far as health insurance coverage, that coverage is the same type coverage that we offer to any of our other administrators, and so that's the other benefits, which is covered under 3.3, which she's entitled to receive the same benefits that the other employees receive that are 12-month administrative employees.
So that would be really like continuous?
Yes.
Just as an administrator, okay.
Yes, none of that changes.
Excellent. And then my second question is, I'm under 2.2 term of agreement, and you spoke to this, but I'm still finding the language a little bit confusing. I'm on the first full paragraph of page 2, and it states at the end, Kathy Middlestat will remain in control of the operations of Flagler Public Schools during the transition period of June 1st through June 30th.
Yes, ma'am.
The initial transition period. During the 1-month transition period, the new superintendent will be in control of the operations. It almost reads to me as if there are, I know you said we can't have more than one superintendent, but the way that reads to me is that both have control over operations during the transition period. So I don't know, can you, in layman's terms, can you help me understand the legalese of that?
Yeah, so Ms. Middlestat is going to continue in her role as superintendent of schools until June 30th, 2023. So she is the superintendent. Of course, she will be working with Ms. Moore, and Ms. Moore will be providing input into some of the reappointments, but those reappointments will actually come under Superintendent Middlestat because she still is the superintendent. With that said, there will be a higher salary because Ms. Moore will be attending to the issues and participating more so in the issues other than just academic for that 30-day period to assist her in making that transition. But during that period, we have to designate someone as superintendent, and that person designated is going to be Ms. Middlestat until she completes her contract. But salary-wise, we will be paying Ms. Moore a higher salary than she's currently receiving beginning June 1. Then on the flip side of it, she will return back and become she will shift back in when the new superintendent starts. Let's just say it's our hope that the new superintendent will start January 1. But if the new superintendent can't start until January 15 for some reason, we have that 2-week period where she would still remain as the superintendent until the new superintendent steps in. And so when that new superintendent actually arrives and is sworn in as the new superintendent, at that point, she will then become, for that 2-week period, she will be a transition. She will be receiving that higher salary because she will be assisting that new superintendent in making that transition into the position.
You know what, Chrissy, I just realized my confusion. So let me make sure I'm right. I think we're talking about 2 different transition periods. One from Ms. Middlestat to LaShaka and one from LaShaka to the new.
That's correct. Yes, ma'am.
Did you hear that, Sally?
I think we lost her.
Did we lose her?
Yeah.
Yes, we did. My phone just buzzed up at you.
I suspect her battery may have died.
Oh, you think?
God bless you.
you.
It's her, I think it's her phone, it's not connecting with mine.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, it's her, it's not us. I'll try to get her on my cell and I'll bring it in if we need to.
Board, while waiting, does anyone else have any other questions?
No.
Related to
Anybody?
it?
No, we're good. I think that she got the concept. She didn't realize it was 2 different transition periods you were speaking about, so hopefully we should move along.
That's our last agenda item.
It is, that's what I'm trying, before I go to old business, I don't see if she has anything else.
Well, she'll have an opportunity to provide additional input to this.
If she has any additional questions, I can speak to her if she gets here prior to the
Yeah,
board
there you go.
meeting.
No answer?
Yeah, it's not even ringing, it's attempting to call and then it just drops it.
Okay,
Her
all
phone
right.
might be dead.
Yeah, it might be. All right, so let's go on then to old business. Do we have old business? Go ahead.
Just a couple of things. One, I'd like to, and if anybody else would like to receive this also, I'd like to get the last 3 years of the financials for the booster account for the Flagler Youth Orchestra. So if you could have district staff, Ms. Mormick, send that out.
She's shaking her head, we got it.
Okay.
We'll get that, that's easy, yep.
Great. And then another thing I wanted to talk about is, so I have some concerns about, well, what started this concern is a local article about some things going on in the school here on one of the blog sites. I have concern because this article deals with things that we spoke about in executive session, and somehow this blogger here has details about conversations that happened in executive session that I don't know how he would have received this information. So
What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, there's an article on the Principal Paul Peacock's suspension, and he goes on into very detailed things about the Dove case, about things like that and things that only we spoke about in this confidential meeting, and here it is. He's got it all.
Well, Christy
will come back.
Yeah, some of that is public record.
Public records is what it is.
Unfortunately, what we spoke about during our executive session, I was sharing with you, when we were speaking in executive session, without breaking our executive session, was authority to settle the case, period. What Mr. Tristram cited in his article is found in the federal court records.
Okay, so the public records requests, he was able to obtain this information.
Yeah, actually, he was able to acquire that information by merely logging into the federal court system and paying to download affidavits that were filed, motions that were filed to withdraw, which set forth verbatim what he cited.
Okay, well, thanks for that clarification, because that was concerning, because that's the first time I've seen that kind of play out in that way. Because some of that stuff seemed more that it was not public record, but it's good to know that that is probably where it came from. But ultimately, I'm really concerned about how we engage the different media, like with who's commenting on these stories, because when the school board attorney gives comment, it lends credibility to an article, right? We had two other news services that inquired, the Palm Coast Observer and the WNZF radio on the same issue, and they claimed, you know, that we couldn't discuss it because it's under investigation.
I thought you said the same thing.
I said the same thing.
Yeah.
I gave them the exact same statement.
You did. I'm not
Right.
saying that you
Yeah.
didn't. But my point is, the method under which we respond, right, I feel should be through a general press release rather than individual comment when it comes to media requests. When a media request comes in, I think we need to have a little bit more. What I don't like personally.
Can you be a little bit more specific?
Well, let me tell you that maybe this might help out, because this is kind of a policy or procedure that I kind of felt would be helpful. When a media request comes in, right? Yeah. Those media requests should be emailed to the board. What is the community asking, right? Not that we're necessarily going to respond to that, but we should know what these media requests are coming in there.
You really want all of them?
Yeah. What I usually do, and what has always been practice, is you funnel those media requests to the board chair.
Well, yeah, but that's my point, is that the board chair is not the one responding to these articles, right? In this case, it's the school board attorney. I would like it to be, the comment should be coming from a general press release so that all media can report on it and in their own fashion, right? In this particular case, this is one that you said no comment, right? So, and that's what you were supposed to do. But I'm saying that these communications should come as a general press release from the school that all.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you. I'm sorry, but we're all elected officials. So when we're asked, if we have a media inquiry, again, if it is a global policy position that the board has taken, it should go to the board chair. As a matter of fact, I think that's even in our board policy manual, right? But you're going to be asked your opinion. You've been asked your opinion on various things.
No, I'm not.
And you've provided your opinion.
I'm not referring to individual board member comments, right? I'm talking about as a school district, when we get media requests that come into the school on school issues, right? We're talking about, in this case, it was regarding the suspension of principal. Yeah, it's very specific. It's something that's happening here. Those should be responded to by a general press release rather than an individual quote for an article. You, as an individual elected official, we're free to give our opinion on anything, but as a general communication out, I feel that we should be going to a general press release type of response, especially when it has to do with
I would, this is the only thing I would say in response to that. When it's a person, you'll notice probably nobody responded. None of the board. It's a personnel matter. None of us should comment on that. None of us should be speaking to Mr. Peacock or any employee where there's an issue or an investigation. The comment should be no comment, which I think it was probably best that none of us commented, but the board attorney commented. So it may be situational, like if there's, like for example, when the situation happened at Matanzas High School, like that to me would have been an example of maybe a joint statement that goes out from the school district. But personnel items or any type of item like that, whether it's legal or an investigation of any sort, nobody on our board should be discussing that until the comment should always be no comment.
And I agree with that 100%. And maybe this particular article, this is what led me to come up with this here, but this may not be the best example. The one you mentioned may be a better one, but there are other communications that come from the district that have come out where we do comment on certain things, and they're direct quotes from people from the district, and usually it's the school board attorney, right? I think that those type of responses should be from a general press release from the board chair. Individually, that's not even in question. We can, if we want to give our take on something, but when it comes to these matters, it is better that we have that press release, and it is sent, when we send the press release out, that we all get it at the same time. Because it's just terrible when
Okay, you're referring to if we're disseminating the information, you want me to copy you on whatever has been shared.
Right.
And here's the situation, so.
Oh, is that what you're saying?
Well,
Yeah.
both. One, the communication would be a general press release to the press, right? Not to one specific. So even if one press person asks that question about that, we put out we have a place where we have a general press release on our website, and we said, please refer to the press release on our website. So all other media can also have transparency on that matter, that they may want to address that. But as a board member too, I want to know how we're responding to the media from here, not from when I read the
I think
article.
what people forget, I think what board members forget sometimes, is that oftentimes quotes are lifted directly out of our meetings.
Well,
most quotes are directly taken out of our public meetings and put into an article, regardless of who's writing it.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe the example is just, I can't get beyond the example, because in the
I could
example, we should never put a press release out on an investigation.
No.
It should simply be
No comment.
no comment.
Right.
And
Well,
the
but when it is no comment, that's it. Like I said, this was probably not the best article to use as an example for the need for this method. This was answered no comment. My concerns were something more because of the content of the article, not so much the fact of the no comment. But we've addressed that, and I'm past that.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about when we have a media inquiry, not a quote, because yes, they can take it off there. I'm saying we had a direct media request for a comment on a situation. When we're going to comment as a district, that should be done in a press release format, and we should be notified as that is being sent out and posted. We should have that information, because the public comes to us often and they say, hey, did you see the article in here? And it has quotes and everything, and I have to go read the article and then get it right. It's just about us being more informed about how the community is reaching in for outward information, and that so we can better respond to our constituents and not say, I'll get back to you on that.
So the only concern I have, and I'm going to split it into two things. Your request that we do a press release. Jason,
I think it depends.
who are we doing a press release to? Are we doing it to the Observer, the Daytona Beach News Journal?
He's saying in general.
You know,
It's a general one. So we have a place on the website where we post our press releases. That's not uncommon.
But then, from my perspective, that's going to potentially generate more public records requests. Because if we do a press release for one person or one news media outlet that made the request, and all of a sudden, and I'm going to tell you, the article that was posted in the Palm Coast Observer generated 3 additional public records requests.
Well, that's my point. It's going to happen anyways.
But
because
what I'm getting at is, if you do a press release, now I'm going to not only get 3 additional public records requests from just local, it's going to go to WESH, it's going to go to all over. And now, instead of 3, I'm now with 6. And while some of it may be the exact same documentation, if they ask it in a different way, it may be additional records being pulled or different records being pulled. So
I don't know if it helps well, but I'll give you an example. Like when we were going through some of the book issues that we were looking at, right? And WESH, I think it was WESH and Channel 9 reached out to me. I just forwarded that on to Cheryl, right? I don't know if I copied the whole board, but I would forward those requests on. And as a matter of fact, I don't think we responded to them because you were out of town at that time. But usually if it's like a big request like that, we'll forward it on to whoever the chair is to address that. And I guess it's issue related, topic related. So maybe when there is an issue that you feel would warrant a district press release of some sort, you can request it, or can we put a statement out from the district? Because it's probably so situational.
I mean, the superintendent put something out. Would that be, is that something like you're thinking about?
Well, that's my point, is that if there's going to be, I'm talking about media specifically to the media requests, when they come in for, and usually we know what it's going to happen when something is newsworthy, the news is going to look into it, right? So I'm just saying that when those media requests come in, right, let's
I'm happy to copy you on it.
Let's leave. I'll just kind of.
Oh, so you want, like, the public records request is made, you want to know what that is, so you're not blindsided, you don't feel blindsided.
Right, I mean, we want to know what the response is to that, because I mean, there's times when I get a request, I will call the attorney, I'll call the superintendent for clarity on that and get back to the person. But when, and those are direct requests from parents or whatever it is, but when it's going to be a media thing, we should know when we're responding as a district to the media.
Yeah, I am happy to copy you all. That's what I was going to say. And the second part is, if you want me to copy you when I receive, I will share with you that there are times I will get public records requests from media that are just phishing public records requests. And I'll share it with you that here's the response we gave them. But it may not lead to an article.
Right.
It
I
might
don't know
just.
if I want to know it all. Like,
I mean, and I'm just letting you.
the rest of the day, like,
I'm just letting you know. I get
might be the
public
best
records
way.
requests.
You're right.
That occur sometimes monthly from media outlets, and I'm going to call it a phishing because it's
They're
if
trying to
there's
find something.
something there that they deem to be newsworthy.
What
They
I-
might comment on it a month for later.
Yeah, what I'm saying is when we're commenting on, as an, not necessarily a public records request, a comment to the article, right? Other than no comment, right? Other than that, I think it's important for us to know when we're going to give direct comment, not
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? That's what I'm referring to. And so, you know, the press release stuff, that was just another vehicle of sending information. We don't necessarily have to do it that way. That was just something to talk about. So,
totally get
but I think just a little more, being a little bit more informed, us being a little bit more as a board on those would be helpful. So I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Anything else then under new business? Or old business, rather, we're still under old business. Old? Is it old or new?
New, I think.
Yeah, okay. I don't have anything. Anybody
No, I'm just
else?
putting out there again, I hope that in the future we're gonna talk about an alternative school or a school within a school, that's coming up.
I think that should be on our, in possibly June, because we need to, start digging into that. Okay. All right, so we're going from no more old business, going on to new business. New business.
I have
Old business?
an old business.
Go ahead.
Do we have we've now had several meetings. We had that great presentation on the Guardian program. Do we have that on the agenda to move that forward, to decide if we're going to move forward with that program?
It is not.
Go ahead.
I'm going to just stay over here.
Might as well just sit there.
I'll just stay over here.
Yeah, just stay there.
It has not been placed on the agenda. I don't know as we had directive of how you wanted to, but would you like that to come back at an information, or do you want it to come back as a workshop with something going to a vote?
Personally, I'd like to see it go to a workshop and then move it to a vote so we can.
I can support that.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I can support that.
I think we're getting close to
It's
the
been long
timeline.
enough. I mean, we've pretty much.
One way or another.
Yeah,
And
we've got to do something.
There's a deadline, right, to get.
Yeah, especially time frame. I would think you're right. There is something.
So that
Especially
will go
voucher.
on the June working agenda workshop and placed for you for a vote at the June meeting.
Yeah, I mean, we've got to do something.
Okay?
Yeah.
I just wanted to confirm.
That
We're all
sounds
with
good.
that.
Sound good to everybody?
Okay.
We good on that? All right. Anything else? Nobody else?
Nope.
Okay. New business, then we'll go on to new business. New business. Anybody? I have two, that's all. The two that I have, the first one is we need to set a date, and we need LaShaka to do this for a summer board retreat, because we need to work with her to go over a lot of things. Since we're not having a master board, there's things that we need to all get so we can operate next year sometime, and that's got to be with LaShaka. So I don't know if it would be July, I guess would be the time frame.
What do we cover in that? Just in a nutshell.
Board, lots of
Getting
things.
ready for
Yeah.
next.
Yeah, getting ready for the school year, board protocol, what we should be doing, what we shouldn't be doing, things like that we have not really discussed, and we need to have a workshop to do that. That would have been discussed in a master board, but we're not gonna have that. So, LaShaka, you're gonna have to, I don't know if we need to determine a date today, but we should soon.
The other thing you may want to address is your strategic plan.
The strategic
and what
plan.
portion of the strategic plan of where you're at. You'll need to have a ending of where you ended this year on your strategic plan and what you as a board want as your lifts. The only other thing I would recommend to you as a board would also be that at that retreat, if you have things that you want to accomplish over this next year, over this next fiscal cycle, you know.
Like say the Guardian program, that would be a good place.
Yeah.
You want to make sure we get a Guardian program.
Yeah, in place, or if somebody
Something like
wanted to talk about middle school sports, I'm just throwing that out,
Alternative
you know.
school.
Alternative school, if
Those
you
are
want
the
to
kind of
see
things,
that
yeah.
put into fruition, whatever it is that is your lift that you want this district to implement, have conversations or bring that to the table. I would think that would be appropriate.
I think we did need just a day. A day would do it.
Well, why don't we bring that up when we've got Sally?
Yeah,
here
we'll
give
have
some
to.
dates.
We'll have to, and see if we can hash out, and LaShaka, you're gonna have to look at your schedule, and that would be something that we can all work out. I'm looking at her right over your shoulder, so, okay. And the other thing that I have, we just actually had a little conversation about it, but it has to deal with public records. A lot of districts have somebody who specifically, that's what they do, is public records. We're getting so inundated with public records requests that it takes away from the jobs that they really need to be doing. Should we have another person, or consider the possibility of adding someone to our administrative team that's all they would do is public records?
For the love
Is it
of
that
Pete,
much?
do we get that many?
Yeah. We get quite a few.
We have been getting an increase in the number, and the way that we do things. One of the things I'm looking into is potentially a public records program that would assist us in those requests, where it would actually be funneled in through them, and this program, it would alert us, it would give us timelines of when things have to be, you know, secured, and then it pushes it to the various departments who need to provide us the documentation. There's going to be a charge because of the cost. So I have met with someone, one of the software companies that it's called Just FOIA, and that could be of a huge help to us. So I think maybe looking at a software program first to manage it might be one way to do it.
Okay, the reason I bring up the concern, I know that we'll be losing Megan Convery, and I think she has assisted this year in doing public records.
She has been.
She has been, and that's not really in her job description. So, I mean, we're getting bigger, and with size comes issues. There's just no doubt about that. So it's just something, she's not doing anything, I think, but.
She's just retiring.
She's retiring to motherhood. So it's just something we have to be thinking about. We're going to have to be thinking about that because it is being extended. And I know she has a lot of legal responsibilities that she should be putting her time into instead of documenting and collecting public records. And I know you're supporting her as a paraprofessional, you know, but are we getting bigger or not? It would be a low-cost position. So it's something to think about. You're not going to give them big bucks. It's just a clerk. So it's something to think about down the road, okay? That's it. That's all I have for new business. All right, we're up to public comment. Do we have public comment?
I don't know. Let me go back to my computer. I don't believe so, but I'll double check. We do not.
We do not. All right. Anybody have any closing comments at this point? Bill?
No closing comments.
No. Okay, well, I'm tonight. All right, nobody else? All right, hearing no closing comments, now officially closing this meeting and adjourning. We'll see everybody at 6. We actually have